Okay, Shalom Israel. Time is flying. We're already first week of March. Once again, Passover's coming. The 31st in San Antonio. We're gonna celebrate it. It's gonna be a good opportunity to get reacquainted with brothers and sisters from different camps and schools. Just can't wait for that time. We have a few weeks to go. So it's pretty much a countdown for that time. Shout out to Water Truth family, San Antonio, the brothers in Guatemala, Cabo Cab, Amayataza, and London, the brothers and sisters in California and Georgia and everywhere in between. Shalom to y'all too. Also, Treatment Wisdom family, Kazaki in Virginia, Quatazop in Houston, and Zion in Rochester, New York. Hope y'all brothers are doing well. See y'all soon. We're going to sit back and start our Sabbath class right now. We'll get our prayers up first. Let's get it. Barakatah Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai.
Barakatah Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai.
Hahawa. Nathanawa. A war. Zayawam. The water.
Aman. Bless you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, that gives to us light this day. Thank you. So be it.
Okay. Excuse me. Barakatah Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai.
Barakatah Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai.
Hahawa. Nathanawa. Rayak. Nayachacha. The water.
Aman. Bless you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, that gives to us sweet savor. Thank you. So be it.
Amajim Wapanya Yerushalayim.
Stand and face Jerusalem.
Barakatah Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai.
Barakatah Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai.
Hahawa. Nathanawa. Hashabbat. Bashalom. The water.
Aman. Bless you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, that gives to us the Sabbath in peace. Thank you. So be it.
Psalms 121. Anasha, Ayanyamya, Ahoyam, Ma'aya, Yabu'a, Isaiah, Yabu'a, Ma, Yahweh, Sha'isha, Shemayim, Wa'aratiza, La'a, Yanathan, Lamawat, Regalia, Yala'a, Nawam, Shashamoya, Hana, Yala'a, Nawam, Wala'a, Yashan, Shashawamar, Yashwala, Yahweh, Shemoya, Yahweh, Tazalia, Ayo, Yanyamya, Yad, Hashemash, Yala'a, Hakaya, Bayawam, Wala'a, Halabana, Balayala, Yahweh, Yashmoya, Makol, Right, Yashmor, Napasha, Yahweh, Yashmor, Hawalatya, Wabu'aya, Ma'itha, Wa'ai,
Aman. Psalms 121 in English. I will lift up mine eyes unto the hills, from whence cometh my help. My help cometh from Yahweh, which made heaven and earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Yasha'Allah shall neither slumber nor sleep. Yahweh is thy keeper. Yahweh is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. Yahweh shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. Yahweh shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in from this time forth and even forevermore. Amen.
Israelite Credo. Shema Yahshua. Yahweh. Elohim. Yahweh. Echad. Shema Yahshua. Yahweh. Elohim. Yahweh. Echad. Shema Yahshua. Yahweh. Elohim. Yahweh. Echad.
Israelite Credo in English. Deuteronomy chapter 6 verse 4. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our power is one Lord.
Okay. Lord's Prayer. Abanoah, Shabbat Shemayim, Kodash, Hayah, Shemka, Yahweh, Malakwatka, Taba'ah, Watazaka, Hayah, Aisha, Ba'arataza, Kawa, Hayah, Bashemayim, Natalanoah, Bacham, Kol, Yawam, Wasalachanawa, Chawathinawa, Chasalachanawa, Chawathinawa, Wala'ah, Tabianawa, Badasawad, Abo, Hawashayanawa, Mayan, Rai, Kaya, Laka, Hamalakwa, Waha'ala, Wahatapara, La'ay Walamyam.
Amen. Lord's Prayer in English. Matthew chapter 6, verse 9. After this manner, therefore, pray ye, Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
10 Commandments. La'ayahaya, Laka, Alahaya, Achaya, Panya.
Thou shalt have no other power before me.
Number 2. La'ah, Ta'ayna, Laka, Kasor, Wala'ah, Ta'aybadam.
Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, nor serve them.
Number 3. La'ah, Talachwacha, Sham, Yahweh, Bashawa.
Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy power in vain.
Number 4. Zakar, Hayawam, Hashabat, La Kodashwa.
Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy.
Number 5. Kabad, Abaka, Ya'amaka.
Honor thy father and thy mother.
Number 6. La'ah, Tharatazak.
Thou shalt not kill, murder.
Number 7. La'ah, Thana'ah.
Thou shalt not commit adultery.
Number 8. La'ah, Tagana.
Thou shalt not steal.
Number 9. La'ah, Ta'ayna, Shakur.
Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor.
Number 10. La'ah, Ta'chamat, Ko, Ashera, La'raika.
Thou shalt not covet anything which is thy neighbor's.
Barakatah Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai.
Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, that gives to us the law.
Israel Yeshabiim.
Everybody seated?
Okay. All right, y'all. Last week when we finished up on our Sabbath class last week, we had kind of came to the climax of King Darius allowing or financing and making sure that the reconstruction of the temple was completed. And that happened approximately 515 BC. And, you know, it's very much like the Most High. He doesn't give us anything easy. We willingly gave up our temple and our power and our sovereignty because of our pride. And because of that, we completely fell in 586 BC. We were in captivity for 70 years. And from that point on, King Cyrus opened the door in 538 BC to bring us back to our land.
Which the Most High prophesied, and Isaiah called him the Most High Shepherd.
Yes. Now, that was 538 BC, but the construction didn't get completed till 515 BC. So it just gives you an idea. That's 23 years to accomplish what the Most High promised was going to be accomplished. But he just lets us know that he doesn't give us anything easy. And we have to fight for everything that we gain, even in a spiritual capacity. Because it's not just about gaining the temple or gaining the object of your desire. What's more important than the object of your spiritual desire? I want to make sure I say spiritual desire. People that take this say, this is what I got to do to get a rib.
Yeah.
That's nothing to do with that. This is about waiting 15 plus years to get something of spiritual value. Okay? And that process was more important than the object was the lessons that came from behind it.
Right.
Because the lessons is what builds the value, respect, and appreciation for what you're bringing to the table. And the experience is what that generation teaches the next generation. Because that next generation, all they're going to see is the building. But they're not going to be conscious of what it took to get the building. So what gives elders and gives those elders the value was the lessons that they learned, how hard they had to fight, and how hard they had to have faith and in trust the Most High was going to come through for them. So that was the major lesson. My entire experience was because from this point on, it had nothing to do with the strength of our might or the valiance of our fighting and our warriors. It was about humility and staying in order. And that was what opened the door for the Most High. It's like this. This is like the equation that you can see a pattern in from here on out. Israel's obedience, Israel being in order, and Israel's respect to the powers that the Most High has over them. When that equation is going on right, then the Most High works on the mind of the individual who is in power and moves them to show us grace and mercy.
Well, like the scripture says, he defends us.
But it's defends us, but how does he defend us? By sitting back here, we have to first of all be in order. We have to show obedience to the Lord and obedience to the powers that be, and then the Most High works on their minds. And if one individual doesn't want to succeed to the Lord, he will sit back and bring another person up that will sit back and acknowledge us. The Most High allowed Cyrus to come into power. He was conscious of our needs, but he died within 8 years of giving us this grant. The next son wasn't filling us. He let him run his course. Until the next king came in, and the Most High worked on his mind. But all that happens based on our obedience and our humility. And that's where we're at now. When we're humble, when we're obedient, when we stay in order, the Most High will open up doors that we need in our life. That is a lesson that you can take from this entire reconstruction process.
Yep.
Now, with that being said, we would normally go into chapter 7 of the book of Ezra. But we are not doing that. Okay? Because chapter 7 in the book of Ezra starts dealing with who the author is, Ezra, and his time during Babylon. Because we're going to read next week about Ezra and how he was a scribe that was renowned in Babylon. That was an Israelite scribe in Babylon that was renowned for his wisdom and his piety to his heavenly Father. And the Most High uses him to establish the second phase of our restoration. The Most High was establishing our restoration in phases. So from 538 BC to 515 BC, it was the restoration of the actual physical temple. Now we have Ezra's coming in, and he brings in the reforms and the restoration of our minds and the people and the priest consciousness towards the Heavenly Father. So he's also showing us how he establishes things. He establishes the temple, then he establishes the minds of the people, and then Nehemiah comes in on the third phase, and he establishes the restoration of the actual fortification and defenses of the city. The walls get reestablished with Nehemiah. So it's Zerubbabel and Jeshua, which is the high priest. They established the temple.
Okay.
Now we're going to get into Ezra, who was the scribe who starts dealing with the spiritual reforms of the individuals in the nation. That's next week, though. And then after that is Nehemiah, which deals with the fortifications of the walls.
So it's a whole process with multiple men.
With multiple people over multiple years. Okay? So that's going to this whole process is going to give us the Persian and Mede Empire time. Okay? And we're going to go into Greece later. But before we go into that, we have to go into this topic, which is Purim. Because Purim, the time of Purim, happens around 480 BC, according to scholars. So if we're at the restoration of 515, now we're going to sit back here and go into 480 BC, which is happening on the other side of the world in Susa, or the Shushan Palace, which is the headquarters of the Persian and Mede Empire. So we're going to go there now. Because it's important that as we go into these classes, we stay as chronological as possible. At least that's what I would like to do. I hate sitting back here going to these janky angles. We're sitting back here reading Esther. Then we're sitting back here reading Ezra, then Nehemiah, then Esther. That's not the proper timeline. So I think it's important to learn the timeline. So where we're at now is after King Darius dies. Because King Darius was in power for approximately 20 years. After King Darius dies, his son takes stead, which is King Xerxes. Okay? Now, I said 480, but it was really 484 BC when King Xerxes came into power. No, sorry. 486 is when King Xerxes came into power. Okay? But the story or the chapter starts off the second year of his leadership.
Now that Xerxes is just a title, right?
No. This one is literal King Xerxes.
You're talking about the King Xerxes himself, the one portrayed in movies.
In 300.
In 300.
That looks like a little shine boy that has no hair on his body.
Yeah,
this guy has no hair on his body.
With a dog collar.
And has dog collar and jewelry going down his stomach like this.
With
nipple
like
piercing.
Yeah.
It's like the chain goes down like this and wraps around. Here's a belly chain. Why does a man got a belly chain?
Yeah.
He had earrings. He had nipple rings. I'm going to say that's not how he looked at it. It's hard to be a fearful king looking like Prince out here.
Hey, when that movie came out, the Persians were mad.
We gonna kill you.
Yeah.
We gonna kill you. Come on now. We gonna kill you. Like, what's going on here?
I'm a good king.
Blouses.
Yeah, exactly. We gonna send our immortals. We gonna get you. We gonna kill you dead. I didn't believe him as an actor. Point is, it's that guy. Because I guess 480 BC is stuck in my head. Because 480 BC was when Xerxes came in and started attacking the Greeks. So this is the same Xerxes that is attacking the Greeks while all this situation in Esther is happening. The book of Esther spans around 10 years. It's not just 1 year and all this information is happening. This is a 10-year span of time. That's from the time that Xerxes deals with his wife Vashti to this whole decree of the Jews getting wiped out. It's around approximately a 10-year time that this thing is happening. So I'm just kind of trying to paint the context of the time so we understand. It's right after 515 BC. The Jews established a victory in Jerusalem, but it's also letting you know there was a time that there was a lot of Jews that were staying in Babylon, that were living in the Shushan Palace or in an area of the Persian Empire. We had been spreading out at this point, and a lot of us had made a decision that we're not going to sit back here and go back to the temple. And we're going to read later on that there's a lot of us that weren't even going to claim Jew. We're going to keep Jew in our back pocket. I'm just a traveler, B. I'm a traveler. I'm a traveler with fringes. But seriously, or maybe not even fringes. Because it's letting you know that people had no idea that these certain people were Jews that were living in Persia at the time.
So listen, that we were blending in.
Yes. And this is when it starts. The ones that weren't in Jerusalem, they were blending into the nations. And you know what? I look at Purim as a story about reminding all of us who want to blend in, there's going to come a time when you can't blend in for long. And you have to claim your set. And that's the truth. Because listen, I understand why we blend in. It doesn't make sense to ruffle feathers when there's no need to. But the Most High forces the course and makes you stand on who you are if you want to survive. And I think that's something that all of us are going to have to face as time progresses down the line. This is an aspect of Purim that I don't think is talked about a lot. But we'll go into that also. So, without further ado, we're dealing with King Xerxes. This is the era of King Xerxes. We're going to read it. It was Artaxerxes. But we've been reading about Artaxerxes since the beginning of Ezra. And Artaxerxes is a title. But this Artaxerxes is Xerxes the first, son of Darius the first.
The famous Xerxes.
Yes, the famous Xerxes who invaded the Greeks. Okay. So, with that in mind, Xerxes was in power from 486 BC to 465 BC. He had a very long run also, 21 years. So, with that being said, we're going to start off in the Apocrypha's extension of Esther. Okay, so that's on the red book is page 55. We're going to start off with this part of the book to go into the topic. Because really, these parts lead into the book of Esther first. So let's get the Apocrypha's book of Esther, the first paragraph. It says part of the 10th chapter after the Greek.
Salute him, man.
Yes, we can. Kariah.
Kariah, Shah Shabbatah, Banashah, Banashala.
Kariah, Shoshamatah, Banashah, Banashah, Amajim. What? Yahweh Hashem Yahshua.
Yahweh Hashem Yahshua Ragatham.
All right. So it's the part of the 10th chapter after the Greeks.
Khan. So the rest of the chapters of the book of Esther, part of the 10th chapter after the Greek.
So what this is saying, it says the rest of the chapters of the book of Esther, which are found neither in Hebrew nor in the Chaldee. Which means, and as you read some of these portions, more than likely this was written in the records that were in Alexandria. Because that was where it was written in Greek, where it could have possibly been written in Greek. But we'll go into that later. All right, let's continue.
Khan. It says, then Mordecai said, Most High have done these things. For I remember a dream which I saw concerning these matters, and nothing thereof hath failed.
So this is, to be specific, this goes after chapter 10 of book of Esther. But I'm bringing it initially to explain that before all the actions of Esther in chapter 1 all the way to 10 happened, he had a dream about this. Okay? But he doesn't remember the dream until after everything unfolds through the book of Ezra from 1 to 10. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you're supposed to plug this in after the book of Esther. But it's important.
If you go to the Bible to Esther chapter 10, it'll stop at verse 3. And then if you go here, it'll pick it up right at verse 4.
Con.
It just shows you it's a continuation
Yes.
of Esther chapter 10.
It's an extenuation, but the reason we're going to it in the beginning is because really this happened before all the events happened. So let's continue.
Verse 6. A little fountain became a river, and there was light, and the sun, and much water. This river is Esther, whom the king married and made queen.
So this was a dream that he had. He didn't understand that this river was Esther at the time. He realized it after everything happened. Read on.
And the two dragons are I and Aman, and the nations were those that were assembled to destroy the name of the Jews. And my nation is this, Israel, which cried to the Most High and was saved. For the Most High has saved his people, and the Most High had delivered us from all those evils. And the Most High had wrought signs and great wonders, which have not been done among the Gentiles. Therefore have he made two lots.
It says the Most High made two lots. Lots are dealing with fortunes. There was two separate lots during this time of Purim. We're going to explain the lots process down the line when we get into the breakdown of the chapter. But there was two lots, there was two destinies that were set up. With one dragon, which was Mordecai's destiny and his people's destiny, and Aman and his people's destiny. This is what the whole story of Purim is. P-U-R means lots. And it means the destiny, or whatever's going to happen is based on how these lots shake out. We're going to express, lots are explained from ancient times in different forms. This is one form of, I'm going to go into it real quick. There was one form of lots this way. Okay, listen, we got to draw straws. So we got a person obviously carried 5 to 7 straws with him at one time, or sticks, and it cut him at different lengths. So you grab the sticks, and each person takes them. You don't know how long the stick is. So the fate is whoever takes the shortest stick is the one that has to deal with whatever difficulties that they're facing. So what they're doing is they're saying the Most High is going to sit back here and establish the lot that was meant to take the brunt of this punishment. For instance, when we sat back here and the tribes, when we sat back and eliminated the what do you call them in war? The Canaanites. When Joshua and the Israelites took over the Canaanites, lots were set up to establish the land. You had 12 tribes. Each tribe had to sit back here and pick a stick or pick a rock. Whatever way they cast the lots, they casted lots to determine what land area each people got. So when you sit back and look at those old Israelite maps with Issachar's here and Zebulon's here and Ephraim's here and Manasseh's here, they drew lots for that land. And that was the way they deemed it fair and of the Most High. They let quote-unquote Esau cause it fate. They let fate decide what was going to be the land of Judah, what was going to be the land of Benjamin, the land of Simeon, so forth and so on. They did the same thing with Jonah. Remember the waves were going crazy and they was about to die. They said, listen, man, we got to cast some lots. We got to draw straws.
Who has done the same?
Whoever's the negative guy,
Yeah.
whoever picks the short stick, you out of here. You got to get in this water, man. We ain't all dying for one SOB's negative. This is ridiculous.
The gods are mad.
So listen, and the gods will be appeased by the person who picks that short stick. So they connected. You draw it. It had nothing to do with probability. It had nothing to do with probability. The numbers, the probability. They have a 60% chance that you will get thrown off this boat. It had nothing to do with that.
Yep.
The God said this, G. If you pick that short stick, you out of here, G. You getting out of here. Whether you call him Yahweh, Marduk, whatever, Baal, I don't give a damn. They all saying the same thing.
God is mad at
You get out of this water. You get in this water, B.
Yeah.
That is what casting lots is.
They did it also when the Romans, in the Josephus, when the Romans seized Masada, which was the last stronghold. And the Sicarii refused to be slaves to the Romans, so they drew lots on who was going to die. And then they took their own life. They took each other's life based on those lots.
That's crazy, bro.
The Romans casted lots on who's going to take Christ's garments when he died.
That's true, too.
So casting lots has been a thing.
It's ancient practice.
For years.
Yep.
And the way they looked at it, another way that people casted lots were like, hey, I have a bag of rocks, right? I'm going to mark one rock yes. I'm going to mark one rock no. And I'm going to have all the other rocks blank. So I'm going to dig in these rocks and I'm going to say, listen, should I sit back here and...
The 8 ball, the magic 8 ball? Like?
It's the magic 8. Should I sit back here and do whatever I plan to do today? Is today the best day to do it? I'm going to get 2 rocks. If it says no, then the Spirit says no. If it's blank, come back the next day. If it's yes, tonight's the night. That's literally how men operated back in those days. Most men, only the priests had the Urim and the Thummim. So everybody in the streets needed their access to a Urim and Thummim. Huh? So they said, listen, man, if I crap out, the Lord was meant for me to crap out at.
Yep. Old people did it too. Old people used to cast lots because when you splitting up chicken, you get down to the wishbone.
Splitting up chicken, at?
Yeah,
it's awesome,
you split chicken, you get to the wishbone, and you and another person grab the wishbone. You grab the edges of the wishbone, and whoever breaks off the smallest piece, they lose. Whoever get the greatest
So what do you lose though?
You make a wish.
Every chicken has a wish.
Oh
my God!
Make a wish.
Was there a science to breaking the chicken bone the right way? I can get the most of it on you.
No, you just you got to break it right.
Because there was a science to breaking pencils. I'm trying to figure there's got to be a science to sitting back here and getting the majority of that chicken bone on your side.
On a wishbone, you got a skinny side and a thicker side.
You better get the thick side.
You get the skinny side.
You gonna lose out.
Because then you do that sometimes because there'll be one more piece of chicken left. So you break the wishbone to see who will get that last piece of chicken out.
Listen, meat wasn't as easily accessible back then as now.
I don't know. If
that's what you're fighting for.
That's old people stuff.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So it's not. Listen, they looked at it as fate. Now I'm gonna say this: some people looked at it as fate. Some people looked at it as an aspect of witchcraft. So it just depends on the viewpoint of the person. We're going to show scripturally we did it. Spiritually, as people, we did it. And looked at it as, however these lots fell, it was the will of the Heavenly Father.
Right.
But other people sat back and used it as an aspect of witchcraft, like the Greeks did. Me and Shachwan talked about how, Shachwan has done more study on it than I did, about how you take liver guts and liver parts and you use that to determine.
They look into the liver.
And they can determine, what the will is for the next day or next month or forecasting situations.
Yeah, it's no need to. That's an ancient practice that the Egyptians used, the Babylonians used it. So, looking into the liver, you read that in the scripture about the Most High is against that.
Yep.
But people did that to determine fate.
Yes.
But it wasn't just the looking into the liver. This is where you get a whole chapter in Deuteronomy about necromancy.
Yes.
About soothsayers, whisperers, people that talk to the dead.
Yep.
Using astrology, because some people want to insert that objective is to insert themselves into fate.
Yep.
People do these things because they want to insert their advantage into fate versus leaving the advantage up to whatever the Most High say.
Exactly.
And so there's a difference.
And in these situations, like I've mentioned, whether it's about Joshua and parting the lots for the people, this was the fairest way so that the Jews wouldn't complain and fight each other over the land. Because when those lots were split, there was still one tribe that complained about their lot.
Yeah.
And that was Ephraim. They said, man, we got a bum deal out of this lot. But who are you going to fight? Who are you going to fight over the fact that it was chance that had this happen to?
Or quite often you read where the nations, when they wanted to go to war, they had to use left-hand magic to try to figure out when to go to war.
Yep.
Alexander was known for that.
No doubt.
But then when you read about the Most High would always say, "Wait on me."
Yep.
He would say, "Wait on me," and then I'll let you know when you see the wind blow a certain direction or you see this happen. Then you stand up and prepare yourself for battle.
Or just yell. And when you see these signs, just yell.
The Most High would always let us know when it was time to make a move in war. He would often, all throughout the scriptures, you would hear him say, "Wait on me." So I'll go to war in front of you. I'll actually be there in front of you in battle. But the nations don't have the Most High to their access like we do.
So this is just about the fates of two different people and two different families that it looked like on one end the fate was going to be bad for the Jews, but really the roles were reversed. And all that negative fate that was going to the Jews got reversed on Haman and his people and all those nations that were adverse to our people. But this is the crux of what Purim is. It's about the truth is, fate is in the hands of who?
The Most High.
The Most High. That is really the ultimate story of what Purim is about. The true fate is in the Lord's hands. And it doesn't matter what you plan or how you strategize. It always falls back on the Most High's will. That will give every single one of us what we've earned and deserved in this lifetime. So, read verse 10 again.
Verse 10. Therefore, have he made two lots, one for the people of the Most High.
The Most High made the fate and fortune, and eventually the curse. These fates adjust based on the time period. The Most High made a certain lot for the Jews. Read on.
And another for all the Gentiles.
Now you can take this in a twofold scenario. For the actual topic, the fate of the Jews was to get saved and preserved, and the fate of Haman and the family of Haman and all those nations that were against us got wiped out. Their fate went left. When for a period of time it looked like their fate was to gain the advantage. But you can sit back here and take this out and look at it long term. The Most High has a different fate for us long term than he does have for the nations. But that's something down the line to be conscious of. But this is about the fate that the Most High controls. That is what lots is. That is what Pur is. So the story of Purim is about the lots and the fate of the Jews that were not living with the Jews, that were kind of spread out amongst the rest of the nations. This was why the Most High was pushing us to all go back home. We had more protection at home. We had more security at home. But for the Israelites to decide to stay away, now your fate was in the hands of the nations and how they felt they wanted to deal with you.
That's a beautiful point.
So now they had to sit back here and learn faith in a different way than the Jews had to learn faith in Jerusalem. And that was the different lot that these Israelites had to go endure because they chose the easier play of staying where they already kind of laid their life at. It took more faith to go back home. So you transfer faith for comfort. Now you have a different set of faith and fear you're dealing with.
Yeah.
Circumstances change.
Circumstances change. Now, listen, you took the easy play, but it ended up being you in a worse spot because you have less protection.
It's no different than Abraham and Lot when they decided to go two different ways with their shepherds. Abraham allowed Lot to pick his side.
It looked like Lot got the better deal.
It looked like because it was green, it was plush, but he didn't know them boys was over there.
Them boys was waiting for him.
The pitching and catching.
Oh,
He didn't know them boys of Sodom and Gomorrah what they was really about. But the land looked good.
Yep.
It's prosperous.
It was prosperous, but it ended up being a bad decision after all.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? But that was Abraham let it up to for Lot to decide which one you want. You know what I'm saying?
Lot was lucky he had daughters and not sons.
Oh man.
Oh, yeah.
Lot was lucky he had daughters.
Yeah.
You can't have my son.
Listen, they would have been knocking on his door way before the age of 10 through.
Yeah.
They
We
lucky.
can't wait.
They'll never go outside.
You better stay in here forever.
They're never going outside.
But so we understand that lot process.
Yeah.
And there was two lots. So and it was also a lot for those Jews who chose not to go back to Israel.
Come.
And there was a lot more fear and stress. Just think about now if they start making litigation and laws against us that claim to be Jews. What are you going to start doing? That's the real question. If there's laws against people that wear fringes, how many people going to wear fringes still? If you don't get arrested if you wear fringes, you going to wear fringes? And they said there's a reward for anybody who sees somebody with strings on their clothes. You walk around with strings in your clothes? We'll see. We'll see. But anyway, let's continue. Let's get verse 11 in the Josephus. I'm sorry, in the Apocrypha. Yes.
Yeah, come on. Verse 11. And these two lots came at the hour and time and day of judgment before the Most High among all nations.
But those lots came at the last minute. You didn't know the result of these lots until the very last minute. It looked like it was going to go one way, but it went another way. That is how the Lord is. So if the Most High is telling you the lots and fortunes of you happen at the very moment that He chooses it to be, then that means, what does that also mean about us? What does it also mean about how we have to learn how to think? Because most of us make decisions based upon what we think, the advantage we see in front of us.
Based on the obvious immediate advantage.
The obvious advantage, the obvious security, the obvious protection that is provided in front of us. But the Most High is telling us that's not how He establishes these lots. They come at the hour, time, and day of judgment.
Come.
So we have to start making decisions based on what's spiritually right versus what we can see. Because what we can see and how we can see the advantage is at this time isn't necessarily how the Most High establishes His judgment on your lot. On your lot, it might be, you know what? You might get the answer at the very end, but what you thought might be happening could switch at a moment's notice. So if it can switch at a moment's notice and you don't have any control of how the judgment is, then what control do you have? You better make the spiritual decisions in your life. You better make your decisions about the spirit and not about the flesh, not about your comfort, and not about what's convenient to you. Because when you start making convenient decisions, then all of a sudden that lot could change against you. Does that make sense? Okay, let's continue.
Verse 12. So the Most High remembered His people and justified His inheritance. Therefore, those days shall be unto them in the month Adar, the 14th and 15th day of the same month, with an assembly and joy and with gladness before the Most High.
So let's go now into chapter 11. I just brought that up to kind of just set the tone that there was a vision of how things are going to be before this whole process even started. Let's get verse 11. Like I said, that normally will go on the back end of it, just so we know. Let's continue.
Chapter 11. In the 4th year of the reign of Ptolemy and Cleopatra, Dositheus, who said he was a priest and Levite, and Ptolemy his son brought this epistle of Purim, which they said was the same, and that Lysimachus, the son of Ptolemy, that was in Jerusalem, had interpreted it.
What this is saying, this has nothing to do with the story. This is about the time period that this part of the story of Esther was taken from. This was taken during the time of the Ptolemies. The Ptolemies had their reign in Egypt after King Alexander the Great died and split up his countries into 4 parts. Ptolemy controlled Egypt, or the Ptolemies. Ptolemy was like a kingship name, like Caesar's was a
family name, like Bush's.
Or no, not Bush's, like presidents.
Okay,
presidents, Caesars,
Kaisers,
czars.
czars.
The czars came from Caesar, the title Caesar. So now you got Ptolemies, which was in Egypt. Now the Ptolemies had a reign of like 4 to 5 generations. Same thing as Cleopatra's. There were 7 Cleopatras. Point is that the Ptolemies had a reign over Egypt, and during certain times of power had control over the Levant, which is Israel, Tyrians, had on the whole knot. Point is, this happened during the Ptolemy. It says Ptolemy and Cleopatra. I don't know if it wasn't the 4th. It was one of the Ptolemies. That's the whole point. It was one of the Ptolemies that this was written in. Not written in, but the records were established in. We're going to read, when we get to the Greeks, that the Greeks were very interested in our history. Mm-hmm. And they had commissioned Jews from Alexandria to write them the Bible and to write the interpretation of the Bible. So because the Bible was written to the Greeks, this aspect of the story the Greeks had access to. But this aspect of the story wasn't a part of the original book that was written in Esther. Does that make sense? Yeah. I'm trying to make sure it's clear, because when you're reading about Ptolemy and Cleopatra, where is this coming from? And when it comes to the story, when this was actually before the time of the Persian Median Empire. I mean, this was after the Persian Median Empire even happened. So, let's continue. Verse 2.
Now, verse 2. In the 2nd year of the reign of Artaxerxes the Great.
This Artaxerxes is a term of kingdom or leadership like Caesar or czars or Ptolemies. This Artaxerxes is referring to Xerxes. If you're familiar, we've been going into Ezra this whole time. It's been 1,000 damn Xerxes already. And this whole time of the Greeks, it's been from 538 to damn 486. The one Xerxes ain't going to be in power that damn long. So this Artaxerxes is talking about Xerxes. The 2nd year of Artaxerxes is 484 BC. Read on.
In the 1st day of the month, Nisan.
Mordecai. It's still Mordecai. It's Mordecaius, which is what is spelled or written in Greek. Okay. So it's Mordecai. Read on.
Mordecai, the son of Jairus, the son of Semi.
The Semi. Come on.
Semi, the son of Sesai of the tribe of Benjamin, had a dream, who was a Jew and dwelt in the city of Susa, a great man, being a servitor in the king's court.
So this Jew, this Benjamite, lived in Susa, which is in Persia. It was the capital city of the Persian Empire, where the king stayed. Now, different kings. Some kings stayed in Susa, some stayed in Babylon. Same difference. Read on.
4. He was also one of the captives, which Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, carried from Jerusalem with Jeconiah, king of Judea. And this was his dream.
So the question is this. He was not sitting back here in 586 BC being brought into captivity. His people did. He'd be 100 plus years old if that was the case. So his people, his forefathers, came over during the captivity to Babylon. Read on.
Verse 5. Behold, a noise of tumult with thunder and earthquakes and uproar in the land. And behold, 2 great dragons came forth ready to fight. and their cry was great. And at their cry, all nations were prepared to battle, that they might fight against the righteous people.
So this is the literal dream that he has. The dream was of two dragons fighting together. It says the cry was great. Read verse 7.
Verse 7. And at their cry, all nations were prepared to battle, that they might fight against the righteous people. And lo, a day of darkness and obscurity, tribulation and anguish, affliction and great uproar upon the earth. And the whole righteous nation was troubled, fearing their own evils, and were ready to perish. Then they cried unto the Most High, and upon their cry, as it were from a little fountain, and was made a great flood, even much water. The light and the sun rose up, and the lowly were exalted, and devoured the glorious. Now when Mordecai
Now stop. Now he's given the actual dream itself, but what I like here is that let me get this one verse right here. How the Most High he's showing how the Most High had introduced himself with the assistance in the form of using someone as a little small stream. So the Most High, I like this because when the Most High is giving the nation of Israel the advantage in a situation, hardly ever do you read that the Most High is using a whole lot of people. You know what I'm saying? When you look at how the Most High selected 300 men that lap water like a dog in the time of Elisha to defeat an army. When the Most High said that it's not when you go to First Maccabees, read this real quick for me. How the Most High doesn't need a whole lot or a lot of people to give the advantage, just a few small believers. So give me First Maccabees real quick, chapter 3, and give me 18.
First Maccabees chapter 3 and verse 18. Unto whom Judas answered, it is no hard matter for many to be shut up in the hands of a few.
Read.
And with the power of heaven, it is all one to deliver with a great multitude or a small company.
So I like how when we read this dream, how the safety of the nation started with a little bitty river. That one little bitty river, like we read earlier, was Esther. So what the Most High is using, he could bring salvation to the nation off of one person's belief. He could recreate a whole nation or save a whole nation off the back of one person's belief. It don't take much. That means if your household is crumbling, he's showing you how all it takes is one person in the house to bring salvation to the house. We read that in 1 Corinthians chapter 7. It says, nay, O man, knowest thou not that the believing wife could save who?
The unbelieving husband.
The unbelieving husband. That means it only takes one believer in order to bring safety and salvation to a whole group. Or one believer to bring safety and salvation to a whole household. You know, so it just shows you that even though it may feel like, man, I'm the last one left, nobody believes, nobody's righteous, everybody wicked around me. Well, you got to keep your integrity because the Most High can use you and your faith, one person, to change the whole course of nature, the whole course of life.
God?
Yes, sir.
That proves quality over quantity.
It's quality over quantity. But it's showing you it only takes one believer to change a whole circumstance. Yeah. And so I just wanted to bring that out, how when he says that it started with a little river, and that little river was Esther. So Esther brought the salvation through her faith in the position that she chose to be faithful in, brought salvation and motivation to the whole nation.
God?
Right?
So you finished on what you finished?
Yeah,
Finish verse 10?
He's almost he's at verse 12.
Okay.
Verse 12. It says, now when Mordecai, who had seen this dream, and what the Most High had determined to do, was awake, he bare this dream in mind, and until night by all means was desirous to know it.
But he didn't get the understanding until the end. And that's most of the time when we're sitting back here and going to battles in our life. A lot of times we don't understand why the hell we're going through the situation we're going through. Whether it's a dream or a vision, or there's actual obstacles in front of our life. And we fight our tail off to try to get the understanding, which is the wrong thing. The answer is to sit back and live and make the right spiritual decisions, and the Most High will give you the answer as to why you went through what you went through.
It's not after or
During.
during.
Because everybody wants to know what the answer is. People want to know why I'm suffering, why I'm stressing, why I'm uncomfortable, why life is hard, why am I losing this, why am I losing that, why am I going through the situation? But you're not going to get that answer until the end. Mordecai didn't get this answer for 10 years.
That's a long time to wait.
That's a long time to get the understanding of this damn vision. This is multiple years. Yes.
And we read it. It's just like, okay, I'm reading that. Okay, that's the
So
story.
we're going to read this and we're going to flunk through some chapters and bam, boom, 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 bam, bam, bam. The answer is here. That's not what real life is. A lot of times you're going through battles and you don't see the answer for years. Have we experienced this?
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm going through this, and this is going on forever. It feels like forever. But in actuality, what we're supposed to be doing is let me just live honorably, follow these scriptures, and stay in order, and the Spirit will reveal what's necessary down the line. He didn't sit back here and know that he was referred to one of these dragons that's in opposition to Haman, which will eventually determine the standing of the Jews across all the dispersed nations.
You couldn't see that.
There's no way. Just like you can't see why my marriage is the way it is. You can't see why my house is the way it is. Why I'm suffering the way I'm suffering. We don't have answers. But it's intended to not get the answer. It's supposed to be about being in order until the answer comes to you. And you're not sinning until you get the answer. That's what we can control. Okay. We finished verse 12. Now we're going to go into chapter 12, verse 1 through 6, the next chapter, in the Apocrypha.
Chapter 12. It says, and Mordecai took his rest in the court with Gabbatha and Thera, the two eunuchs of the king.
So he's sitting back here in the court of the palace. The court is the outskirts where the regulars is at. So he's sitting back here in the court of the palace, and he sees, and he's around these guys, Gabbatha and Thera, which were two eunuchs of the king, meaning bodyguards. Read on.
And keepers of the palace.
These guys were keepers of the palace. Read on.
And he heard their devices.
So he heard an intricate plot. He heard a plot that they had to sit back here and do Xerxes in. This is in year 2 of King Xerxes' reign. Read on.
And searched out their purposes and learned that they were about to lay hands upon Artaxerxes, the king. And so he certified the king of them.
So he sat back here. He didn't go directly to Artaxerxes or Xerxes. He sat back and sent word through the proper channels to let Xerxes know he had some stick-up kids ready to get him. Read on.
Then the king examined the two eunuchs, and after that they had confessed it, they were strangled. And the king made a record of these things, and Mordecai also wrote thereof.
So he wrote a statement. Mordecai wrote a statement. The record was out there that Mordecai was the one that saved the king's life. Read on.
So the king commanded Mordecai to serve in the court. For this he rewarded him.
So, but what's also happening is the reward was very slight. And it seems like at the time, Mordecai was consumed with a lot of other things going on and didn't give full attention to what Mordecai did. Okay? Because you're going to read down the line that Xerxes goes back over the records and he's like, why didn't I sit back and reward this guy the right way? One of the reasons that Xerxes was probably preoccupied is Xerxes' mind was on the conquest of Greece. This happened in 484 BC. he was sitting back here and prepping things and prepping his situation to invade Greece. That was what was on his mind. You know, when a king starts getting into power, he's got to sit back and put his mark on his time in power. So the first thing Xerxes did when he was in power is he sat back here and used all of the riches that he had acquired or his father had acquired to sit back here. He threw his war chest on wiping out Greece. We're going to read that in a little bit. Okay? So he was preoccupied with stuff going on in his life before he went and started dealing with the affairs of his quarters around him. Matter of fact, let me pull this now. Then I'm kind of gonna go out of what do you call it, order, but I'm gonna do this for a purpose. Let's go to Daniel's real quick. Daniel's 10, verse 1, and there's gonna be 11, verse 1 and 2.
Daniel chapter 10 and verse 1.
Matter of fact, yeah, we'll get back to Esther. We'll get back to Esther.
Daniel chapter 10 and verse 1.
Let me get there. I'm sorry. It's 10 and 1, and then 11 and 1 and 2. Read that.
Daniel chapter 10 and verse 1. In the 3rd year of Cyrus, king of Persia, a thing was revealed unto Daniel.
So Daniel got a vision in the 3rd year of King Cyrus. Read on.
Whose name was called Belteshazzar. And the thing was true, but the time appointed was long. And he understood the thing, and had understanding of the vision.
So what the verse is saying is, Daniel got a vision that was true, but it took a long time to get the understanding of what this vision was about. Okay? Now we're going to let it go, and we're going to go into the vision. It's Daniel's 11, verse 1 and 2.
Daniel chapter 11, verses 1 and 2. Also I, in the 1st year of Darius the Mede.
Darius the Mede was the leader of the territory of Babylon still. This was still during the time of King Cyrus the First, and when him taking over the full territory of the Persian and Mede Empire and conquering Babylon. Okay? So this is still, Darius is not King Darius of the Medes. He's King Darius. He was a vassal that controlled Babylon. But that doesn't matter. Let's continue.
Even I stood to confirm and to strengthen him.
So Daniel's job was to be an advisor to King Darius, just like he was an advisor to the kings of the Babylonians. Read on.
Verse 2. And now will I show thee the truth. Behold, there shall stand up yet 3 kings in Persia.
He said there's going to be 3 more kings in Persia after King Cyrus. Chapter 10 and 1 tells you King Cyrus was the first king of the Persian Empire. He said there's going to be 3 more that comes after him now. The second king after King Cyrus was Cambyses. The third was that Magi, that guy that came in after Cambyses died and tried to take over for a year and got wiped out by the fourth, which was King Darius, the one who allowed us to get back and restore the temple. Read on.
And the fourth shall be far richer than they all.
So he says now the fourth, which means the 5th Persian king in totality, which is Xerxes the First. Once again, King Cyrus. Then there's 3 more. Cambyses the second, which was the son of King Cyrus. Then there was a defiant ruler that came in for a year that wasn't authorized. He got wiped out. Then it was King Darius the First was the 4th. He says now this 5th one, which is the 4th after King Cyrus, was going to be the richest of all the Persian emperors. Read on.
And by his strength, through his riches, he shall stir up all against the realm of Greece.
And this is how you know that this king is Xerxes. Because Xerxes had all the money and all the power, and he's the one that stirs up the trouble against the Greeks. Okay? So all this is going to tie in as we continue to go into the topic. And it's going to even tie in as to why these eunuchs tried to assassinate Xerxes in the first place. Okay? Just keep this in mind. This King Xerxes, which is the 5th king of the Persians, the 4th of the prophecy Daniel was talking about, he was the richest, and he was going to go against the Greeks. Just keep that in mind.
He was financially prepped for war.
Well, he had the money. He had the war. Listen, you can't go to war unless you got the money. Even in 300, it tells you about that. He was just throwing money at these immortals and all these hired guns to take out the Greeks in Thermopylae, the 300. After they wiped out the 300, they sat back and took out Athens and Attica. Anyway, that's another story. Am I getting to? I need to make sure I set the tone, because the rest of the story makes sense once the tone is properly set. Okay? So, we're going to let all that go. And that happens in 480 BC, the actual attacking of the Greeks. In 480. So this is around the time. It's 484. All these things are happening. You just don't go to war with somebody in a week. There's preparations. There is extensions of empire. If you see the empire during Cyrus the Great online, you see that Cyrus took it to Lydia. But what ends up happening is, once King Xerxes is empowered, he starts taking chunks of these Greek islands and takes it further with the extension of his power. So in the process of this happening, he's got assassination attempts against his head. So obviously his mind is to go westward to conquer. In the process of him going westward and thinking the Greeks, you have assassination attempts at home, and you also get the fact that Mordecai has been slighted in his promotions because Xerxes' mind isn't at home. It makes more sense as to why Mordecai was neglected in the first place.
It wasn't like a convenient for that.
He had things going on. He's trying to move forward. He's trying to sit back and you think about how many months it takes for the United States military to bring ships and weaponry and weapons from the United States to fight these Houthis in Saudi Arabia. Now think about how much money and time it takes just to get guys to be going on horseback from damn Susa in Persia all the way to Greece.
Caravans.
That takes years. That takes years of preparation. That takes years of harvesting. You gotta think about this. It takes a couple years of harvesting to get the food supplies to make the trips in the first place. So to invade a country takes years, not weeks and months. So this was already in the process before they go out and do it. Does that make sense? Okay. So this is why Mordecai was forgotten. His mind is on other conquering and empire building down the line. So let that go now and go to finish up the book of Esther. And the Apocrypha Esther in 12 and 6.
Book of Esther, chapter 12, verse 6. In the Apocrypha. Howbeit, Aman, the son of Amadeus, the Agagite, who was in great honor with the king, sought to molest Mordecai and his people because of the 2 eunuchs of the king.
Now that doesn't make sense, and they kind of left the reason. Why would Haman be mad? First of all, he says Haman was of great honor with the king. So Haman was really tight with Xerxes. Why would Haman get mad that Mordecai ends up saving Xerxes' life? It doesn't make sense. If I want the king to be saved, why would I get mad that somebody foils an assassination attempt on the king that I serve? Does it make sense? No, it doesn't. We're going to explain why it makes sense down the line. Okay, let that go. And now we're going to go into Esther in the Bible, chapter 1. You have to understand the background before the rest of the book makes sense. Xerxes was on the precipice of conquering or attempting to conquer Greece. You got Xerxes has assassination attempts in the city. There's a lot going on at the moment.
JFK files.
There's a lot of CIA stuff going on. CIA shenanigans. Right? So, the CIA takes care of all the foreign wars and all the foreign stuff. FBI keeps it internal. This is CIA stuff. So, we're going to read Esther chapter 1, verse 1 in the Bible.
Esther chapter 1 and verse 1. Now it came to pass in the days of Ahasuerus. This is Ahasuerus, which reigned from India even unto Ethiopia, over 107 and 20 provinces.
So once again, what's happening is Esther talks about Ahasuerus or Artaxerxes. They're all talking about the name and position of the head of the Persian Empire. This Ahasuerus or Artaxerxes in other books is talking about Xerxes the first. Okay? Now let's continue. Now, once again, let's continue.
Verse 2. That in those days, when the king Ahasuerus sat on the throne of his kingdom, which was in Shushan, the palace, in the 3rd year of his reign, he made a feast unto all his princes and his servants, the power of Persia and Media, the nobles and princes of the provinces being before him.
Now, when the 3rd year, that's in 483 BC, he has a party with all the leaders of the provinces of the territory. We read about this also with Darius in around the 2nd year, no, the 1st year, he had a party. All these leaders had these large gatherings to sit back and celebrate their positions and celebrate their king's power and wealth. Okay? Let's continue.
Verse 4. When he showed the riches of his glorious kingdom and the honor of his excellent majesty many days, even 180 days.
So it was a 180-day party. It was a lot of drink.
It's almost a year, bro.
That's 6 months.
That's half a year, bro. 6-year party.
6 months.
How much food and meat and chicken and lamb and all this stuff was going on, all this Cadillac.
Too much
It was a party. Listen, it starts to make sense why what happened down the line happens. So it's frivolity, it's fun, it's chilling. A 6-month party. That's the kind of parties you wake up in the morning and you just keep drinking whatever's left in the cup.
Try to sober up.
Listen, you got champagne that's still left in the cup. You just gonna keep it going. You gonna keep the party going. You might throw some orange juice in it out.
Make a mimosa.
Yeah. But you gonna keep this party. We gonna keep this going out.
Yep.
I don't care if it's 9 a.m. Listen, I just woke up. It was a 3 hours. I had a 3-hour nap. Let's keep this going,
Keep rolling.
That 6 months. 6 months. Anyway, just imagine the level of parties and that's happening. But let's keep going.
Now, verse 5. And when these days were expired, the king made a feast unto all the people that were present in Shushan the palace, both unto great and small, 7 days, in the court of the garden of the king's palace.
Mm-hmm.
It says, where were white, green, and blue hangings, fastened with cords of fine linen, and purple, 2 silver rings, and pillars of marble. The beds were of gold and silver, upon a pavement of red and blue and white and black marble.
That's insane. They were able to dye the paint, the marble floors at red, blue, white, and black at. What kind of damn floor is that at? Anyway, those is marble. That's tiptoeing on the marble floors. That's legit. Let's keep going.
Verse 7. And they gave them drink in vessels of gold, the vessels being diverse one from another.
That's even more dope. It's a bunch of different look. A different looking gold cup. Well, the caliber of this kingdom, you don't even get this in the White House, huh? No. You don't even get marble floors of this in the White House, huh? And gold cups, huh?
Get a pen out.
You get some
White House, DC.
rinky-dinky pen out.
2024.
Who was that
And some white carpet. I get some white carpet in the White House.
Who was that won the national championship? They went to the White House and they gave McDonald's.
Yeah, that was Trump, huh?
Was that Trump?
It was like it was the college national championship.
Yeah,
we have burgers. We have burgers.
Yeah.
We have chicken. We have KFC. We have chicken.
Yeah, you're the White House.
He had his hand like we have chicken. We have burgers. And they were like in those plates that kept him warm out.
Yeah.
Like, this is whack. This is whack. You can't give me some proper meals out. But they was college kids, so they say, well, they're college. They don't give a damn. They're college kids anyway.
They're used to eating like this.
Yeah, but that's what they did. That's what you get when you're in the White House nowadays. Huh?
Yeah.
There was spared no expense at this point.
Like you get a picnic lunch. Yeah, like a brown bag.
Yeah. You get you some cuties in there, like some oranges, some mandarin cuties.
Chocolate
You
milk.
get like 2 cuties and some chocolate milk and a regular then some chippies. Get out of here,
That's a slap in the face.
You get some chippies. Get your ass out of here. Get some Lays. Get some Lays. And the Lays got like 80% air and like 20% chips.
Yeah.
It's the
It's
worst,
the truth, that.
Yeah, lunch.
Oh, yeah, with the Lunchable thrown in there.
Yeah. Horrible.
You got your groups. You got your food groups. Get out of here. Okay, so let's continue.
Verse 7. And they gave them drink in vessels of gold, the vessels being diverse one from another, and royal wine in abundance, according to the state of the king.
There was a whole lot of drinking going on. Like gold, cause you ain't letting that go. You can't. First of all, you're taking that gold cup home if you can.
You're keeping that gold cup.
You trying to keep that gold cup is staying on your person, or you gonna try to at least.
Our people can't go to a hotel without stealing soap,
That's the
lotions,
point.
bath towels, pillows,
Yes.
pillows with the down feathers.
Yes, listen, the pillows is out of here.
You always call the desk. Be like, yeah, we need more toothpaste. We need more soap. We already ran out. More towels.
Oh man, that's our people, man. Don't have the towels with emblems on it. They're gone.
Man.
Some printing on it.
Yeah.
But let's continue.
Verse 8. It says, and the drinking was according to the law. None did compel. For so the king had appointed to all the officers of his house that they should do according to every man's pleasure.
So it's about letting loose.
What's your pleasure?
Listen, all the nations had different weird ways. You have all these 127 provinces. There all kind of weirdo stuff going on there. Listen, let's continue. Let's just go on there. Because that movie made it even look weirder. What Xerxes was doing. Remember Xerxes' party in 300?
Yeah.
You had goats playing flute. How the hell is goat playing the flute?
Yeah.
The goat was moving like this.
Yeah, it was bad.
You ever see the movie? I'm like, what's going on here?
A lot of weird stuff going on.
It was a freak show in there. He's like, come.
That's how he parties out.
He's like, they want you to bow. And they want you to serve. I just want you to bow. And take a puff of this. It was all kind of weird stuff going on in there. All kind of smoking and drinking.
Dennis Rodman was over there too, right?
It was some Rodman weird stuff going on. It really was. I was like, this dude's a weirdo. They made him like he was a straight freak.
Them Persians was mad. My ratings was mad.
I believe it. I understand.
Embarrassing.
All he had was like some underoos on. I had some underoos on.
Like a diaper.
Yeah, he has some underoos on, like with different colors though, and silver on them.
Yeah.
I was like, this is weird. But keep that in mind, because
Let the golden child out. Let the golden child growing up.
no, it's worse than the golden. He had monk clothes on. The golden child had monk clothes on. This guy was worse. We're gonna read. Let's continue. I still think it was a mockery of him. I don't think that's how it really went down. But who knows? Let's continue.
Could get a king's robot?
Nope. It's cold. It's hot out here in Greece. I'm uncomfortable. Let's read on.
Verse 9. And Vashti, the queen, made a feast for the woman in the royal house, which belonged to King Xerxes.
Yeah, so let's say Xerxes, the Ahasuerus. So what's happening is there's 2 separate parties going on simultaneously. Vashti is having a party with, I guess, the wives of these princes and these high-end guys, and the men are in their certain section turn up.
So it's separate.
It was a separate situation.
Okay.
Read on.
Verse 10. On the 7th day, when the heart of the king was merry with wine.
I mean, listen, he had alcohol poisoning. He was full of alcohol. Listen, it was a 180-day party. So he's in the 7th day of this next party. He's faded. He's good. He's smiling. Read on.
He commanded Mehuman.
I'm sorry. Hold tight. Hold this. Let's go on to Josephus and kind of stay on track with the story, because I don't want to keep reading through this and not. So we're in Josephus, book 11, chapter 6. Well, yeah. Book 11, chapter 6, paragraph 1. And we're going to read from paragraph 1 into 3/4 of the way down, and I'll tell you exactly when to stop.
Antiquity of the Jews, Book 11, chapter 6, paragraph 1, page 298.
Now listen, also, we're jumping into Josephus because the Josephus has these names off as well. Okay? So we have to make sure, this is why I'm kind of jumping a chapter. Really, we're supposed to be going into chapter 5, but chapter 5 deals with, what do you call it, a war? Ezra. So we're jumping 5, we're going to 6, then after we're done with 6, we're going back to 5 to deal with the king's dealings with Ezra. Okay, because certain books, certain history says Artaxerxes is the one that has a relationship with Ezra, not Xerxes. But then some people say it was Xerxes and Ezra. So it's a lot of confusion here. We're going to go this path. We'll get back to Ezra's relationship with the king next week. Let's read paragraph 1.
Paragraph 1. After the death of Xerxes,
Is really after the death of Darius. Read on.
the kingdom came to be transferred to his son Cyrus, whom the Greeks called Artaxerxes. When this man had obtained the government over the Persians, the whole nation of the Jews, with their wives and children, were in danger of perishing. The occasion whereof we shall declare in a little time, for it is proper, in the first place, to explain somewhat relating to this king, and how he came to marry a Jewish wife, who was herself of the royal family also, and who is related to have saved our nation. For when Artaxerxes had taken the kingdom, and had set governors over the 127 provinces, from India even unto Ethiopia, in the 3rd year of his reign, he made a costly feast for his friends.
He made a costly feast because he had the money. Don't forget Daniel chapter 10 tells you that that 4th king after Cyrus had a strong war chest anyway. But that was Xerxes. That wasn't Artaxerxes. I'm bringing this up and I'm taking my time to explain this because if you ever come across quote unquote scholars, some scholars don't even say the book of Esther is legitimate because there's questions about if Artaxerxes was the real king or not at this time. Because it wasn't Artaxerxes, it was Xerxes. That's why it's very important that I'm bringing out these details because you'll have certain scholars attacking the validity of the Bible because sometimes these names and who's the king and who's not the king creates a discrepancy. So your overly technical scholars say just discard the story in general because you can't narrow down exactly who was the king. There is a discrepancy there. All right? This is why I'm taking the time on this. So let's continue.
It says, and for the nations of Persia, and for their governors, such a one as was proper for a king to make, when he had a mind to make a public demonstration of his riches.
And this is what Xerxes, when he was flossing in front of the entire empire. We're going 6-month party out here. We're going to have the best marble floors. We're going to deck this thing out because I got it like that. Read on.
And this for 180 days, after which he made a feast for other nations and for their ambassadors at Shushan for 7 days.
So he said, so this makes it even clearer. He had a 180-day party. Then he sat back here and made this next 7-day party more exclusive with more of the high-ranking governor officials of the empire. 180 days plus 7 more, but this next one was more of an exclusive VIP type situation.
It's like a private party.
It's a private party after the larger party for the 180 days. Read on.
Come.
So it's more intimate.
Yeah.
More intimate. Read on.
Now this feast was ordered after the manner following. He caused a tent to be pitched, which was supported by pillars of gold and silver.
It's crazy.
With curtains of linen and purple spread over them, that it might afford room for many 10,000s to sit down. The cups with which the waiters ministered were of gold and adorned with precious stones. It says, for pleasure and for sight. he also gave order to the servants that they should not force them to drink by bringing them wine continually, as it is the practice of the Persians, but to permit every one of the guests to enjoy himself according to his own inclination.
So what he's saying is the Persian way. We're gonna keep bringing people to fill your cup up. That's what the Persians do. We're gonna keep bringing wine people. If you see that glass empty, you just keep pouring it up. But they said out of consideration to other nations, we won't sit back here and force this drink down your throat. But it's letting you know in the Bible that Xerxes was keeping the wine pouring because he was already buzzing. Let's continue.
Line 189. Moreover, he sent messengers through the country and gave order that they should have a remission of their labors and should keep a festival many days on account of his kingdom. In like manner did Vashti, the queen, it says, the queen gathered her guests together and made them a feast in the palace. Now when it says, now the king was desirous to show her, who exceeded all other women in beauty, to those that feasted with her. And he sent some to command her to come to his feast. But she, out of...
Stop. So now it's saying that, let's go back to where it says he also gave, matter of fact, let me see. Let's hold off on that. We'll continue on this chapter because I want to stay now in the scriptures. Let's go back to Esther in the Bible, chapter 1, verse 9.
Esther chapter 1 and verse 9. Also, Vashti, the queen, made a feast for the woman in the royal house, which belonged to King Ahasuerus. On the 7th day, when the heart of the king was merry with wine, he commanded Mehuman, Biztha, Harbana, Bigtha, and Abaktha, it says Zethar and Carcas, the 7 chamberlains that served in the presence of Ahasuerus the king.
Okay, so he's merry with drink, he's buzzing, and he's calling his chamberlains to do his bidding. Yeah. Read on.
It says, to bring Vashti the queen before the king with the crown royal, to show the people and the princes her beauty, for she was fair to look on. But the queen Vashti refused to come at the king's commandment by his chamberlains. Therefore was the king very wroth, and his anger burned in him.
Stop.
That's her opportunity.
Well, listen, she was the queen, and the king asked when he was in his mid-drink to come and visit and show everybody how fine she is. Now, the scripture says she refused to go. Now, there's different reasons why they said this happened. So let's go on to Josephus real quick and try to figure out why she wouldn't go to do his bidding and just go see the king when he asked her to go see the king. Why didn't she do it? Now, let's do this. Let's go back to the Josephus and just read, in the like matter did Vashti the queen.
Line 190. In like manner did Vashti the queen gather her guests together and made them a feast in the palace. Now when the king was desirous to show her, who exceeded all other women in beauty, to those that feasted with him, and he sent some to command her to come to his feast. But she, out of regard to the laws of the Persians, which forbid the wives to be seen by strangers, did not go to the king.
Stop. It said, but she, out of regard to the law of the Persians, which forbid the wives to be seen by strangers, did not go to the king. So we got to sit back and figure, what do you mean by being seen by strangers? If you're the queen, you're not going to be seen by any men at all? That doesn't make sense. Go down to the bottom, because there should be a marking right after you see that word king.
Okay, king, yeah.
Go down to the bottom and let's read this. And this is a forward. Doesn't mean this is the actual truth, but it would make sense why she would sit back here and not go to the king.
What's Colin say? What's Colin say?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You want to read the whole thing?
Yeah.
Okay, it says, if the Chaldee, paraphrase, be in
paraphrased.
be in the right that Artaxerxes intended to show Vashti to his guests naked.
Stop. So this makes sense as to where it says the law of the Persians doesn't permit a woman, the queen, to be shown to other men. So it's being said that this guy was buzzing and wanted to show how fine she was to all the men that was in a circle and make her undress in front of these dudes. And because of that, she sat back and stayed in the room. This nigga's drunk. There's no way I'm coming out because I already know he's going to trip. He's going to sit back and maybe do some old jacked up stuff. For these men. Well, this would make sense as to why she wouldn't go out to her husband. Why would she not do that?
We don't know.
We don't know for sure, but this would make sense as to why she didn't come out. Does that make sense? Let's continue in that forward part.
It says, it is no wonder at all that she would not submit to such an indignity, but still, if it were not so gross as that, yet it might, it says, in the king's cup, be done in a way so indecent, as the Persians' laws would not then bear, no more than the common laws of modesty.
So, did it mean that she was going to have to completely strip down? I don't know, but there was something funny in that whole exchange. There was some weirdness going on, and this guy wanted to see some weird stuff going on from everybody, and she wasn't comfortable putting herself in a jacked up situation like that. And I completely understand that. So, now go back in the story in Josephus.
Okay, good. It says, line 191.
Just read, but she, out of regard to the laws of the Persians. Read that part again.
Yeah, good. Line 191. But she, out of regard to the laws of the Persians, which forbid the wives to be seen by strangers, does not go to the king.
So she didn't go because she didn't want to show herself off to these men. Yeah. Read on.
And though he oftentimes sent the eunuchs to her, she did nevertheless stay away and refused to come, till the king was so much irritated that he break up the entertainment.
He said, cut the music off! I had some songs ready to play. He came through. Cut it off!
You talking about bad? I'll show you who's bad.
Listen, he's drinking on drink. He's talking in slur out. Hey, cut the music off! Cut it off!
Yeah.
He's hot. That party's over, man. Yo, get him out of here!
He got embarrassed.
He got it.
You know his homies are like, you know, one of his boys laughed at him. One of them had.
They do this. He's sipping on it like this. You can't control your girl.
You can't control your girl. You the king.
You control all the prophecies. But she ain't gonna walk 10 feet over here.
I'm the king of my house. I don't know about you. I'm the king where I live at.
So certain she'll come through in a minute. She coming through. Chamberlain, go call her again,
bro. You girl ain't showing up, bro. What's she doing out there?
Listen, the point is, this man is embarrassed. He's hot, and he's losing it. Okay, so now we understand the story. It's embarrassing, but he was out of pocket too.
Yeah, he was looking stupid.
He was being a weirdo. So now we sit back here and go back in the scriptures. This is crazy, Well, let's continue,
It says.
No, in the Bible now. Let's go to the Bible now. Esther chapter 1, verse 12. And we're going to finish this off, but I want to bring that part as to why she rebelled. That makes sense as to why she rebelled in this regard.
Okay.
Read on.
This is nation rules, right?
The Persians were really heavy about sticking to their laws, and whatever laws were established, you stick to them regardless. That was the Persian way. Okay, read on.
Esther in the Bible, chapter 1 and verse 12. But the queen Vashti refused to come at the king's commandment by his chamberlains. Therefore was the king very wroth, and his anger burned in him.
Come on. He's drunk and angry. Read on.
Then the king said to the wise men, which knew the times, for so was the king's manner toward all that knew law and judgment.
So they knew the times. They knew the laws. They were tight with the logistics and the loopholes in law. Just like right now, Colorado and different states were trying to sit back here because of Trump's legal issues. They're trying to create a legal precedent to justify Trump not getting a ballot in certain states. They've been pushing. They're trying to create legal precedent, but Colorado was unsuccessful in trying to get him off the ballot. But you go to these lawyers to try to justify means to break the law or to justify doing it your way. Even right now, NATO is trying to find a legal precedent to take Russia's $300 billion that was in the SWIFT accounts that was used to establish international trade amongst everybody from 2 years ago. Because all the countries in the world, they keep their money in an account so you can just do easy transactions when you're doing business across the world. It doesn't make sense to sit back and have all your money in your account and every time you want to do a transaction, you transfer money. So based off of good faith, you keep your money in a pot. And you can just go make transactions when necessary. But when the war started, they clamped down on Russia's money and they shut Russia off from their $300 billion.
It's a lot of money.
And they're saying, so what they're doing is NATO is using they're collecting all the interest and keeping it for them. So all the interest, $300 billion, is going into NATO's pocket.
Oh, that's a little money.
But that's already gone. But now they're trying to create legal precedent to take the $300 billion and put it towards the Ukraine war.
They're starting a major fight out.
Listen, but what's happening is, if they do it, they're going to lose good faith amongst the entire world. Because China got their money in this SWIFT account. India got this money in this SWIFT account. Japan and all the world got money in SWIFT account. So if you take $300 billion for them, I'm going to pull my money out. Because I don't trust you. So whenever you feel like it, you can lock my bread up and not allow me to go back and get my funds. So the people are advising NATO, don't do this.
Please don't do this.
Don't do this. You're gonna sit back and wreck global trade through this SWIFT system. If you do this, you're going to establish a lack of trust. And America's pushing NATO or the European countries, do it. Take the $300 billion. Listen, because we can't keep going and asking for $60 billion every couple months to aid Ukraine.
Biden saying,
take this $300 billion and you can aid Ukraine and keep this war going for 5 years. So they're like, if we do this though, all the other countries are going to pour their money out and they're going to go to this BRICS capital and the BRICS SWIFT system and feed their money up, and they're going to all stop spending from us.
That's stupid.
But this is what's happening. And they're pushing NATO to make a decision by June. That's what's happening. $300 billion
that's big money.
Is real money.
That's fight money.
But you know, Russia's like, you got to get our money, cool, man. We're going to still bust you up. So this is what, but this is why wars are so important. Say, for instance, Russia keeps winning. So the victor gains the spoils. Do you know that if you win, and if Russia, say for instance, Russia fights Europe, and they beat them, you realize the losing country has to pay for all the expenses of the winning side and the losing side.
That's good hustle.
So if Russia wins, they got to pay all the money back anyway. When Germany lost, they just stopped paying reparations in the 80s and 90s for losing in 45, 46. They just stopped paying reparations. They don't tell you that, yes? Because you got your butt whipped. Somebody got to pay the bill. Somebody got to pay these checks. Listen, each country is spending money for war.
I'm going to take your whole country.
Listen, but why take your country when you're going to pay for us anyway?
I said, when?
You're going to pay for us. Well, I don't got to take your country. You're going to pay us. Your GDP is going to go to SHIT.
Wow. And
you're going to pay for us and build our country back up. So all the things that you destroyed, all the cities you destroyed, all the cities that were destroyed in what do you call it, in France, in Poland, in Russia, Germany had to pay that. Well, I'm not going to say they started it. History says they started.
Okay.
History says they started. Listen, whoever wins the victory establishes the narrative. If you win, you get to tell the story how it went. Well, this is what's happened. The bad Germans did this. And if Germany won, that wouldn't be the story. We were sitting back here protecting ourselves from the sanctions the United States put us under. Because we kicked out all these people that were destroying our country. That's how it started. The people that were corrupting their country from the inside out, they kicked them out. And the United States sat back here and started putting economic sanctions on Germany and was crippling their ability to sustain themselves. The same reason why Japan went crazy at Pearl Harbor. They don't tell you that they were crippling Japan with these insane sanctions that wouldn't allow them to sustain themselves as a country. That's how you break countries. That's how you force them to war. This is why Russia, they thought sanctioning Russia would break them. This is what they thought. If they sanctioned Russia enough, it would force the people to be so broke and so destitute that they would force Putin out. And if you force Putin out, then you bring a West-friendly democratic leader that will sit back and obey the request of the United States. And in obeying the request of the United States will have access to all the timber, oil, natural gas, and resources that Russia, which is the biggest country on earth, has. It was all about, listen, the United States is like 300 trillion in debt. And it says, did they say 300? I think it's 65 trillion. But they say every 3 months they go another trillion in debt. Every 3 months they go another trillion in debt. So in order to offset this issue, they have to maintain the dollar as being the permanent financial source, and they need other functioning avenues to make more money. And the one country that has the most resources to take from to sustain your country is Russia. What they don't tell you is Russia, they want to break up Russia into 20 provinces and sit back here and get all the natural resources out of all of these regions in the country. If they can break that place up, now America could be set financially and militarily for even that much longer a period of time. They want to break up Russia like they broke up Yugoslavia. Yugoslavia was a powerful country. And they broke that up. Remember during the time of Clinton? Where there was a war in Sarajevo and those wars in
Kosovo.
It was the whole area. When it was Kosovo. Yugoslavia is a big place. They broke up the whole country with economic sanctions. Broke up into six, 7 provinces that all the European countries just picked apart and used as a place to elevate their country. Anyway, this is what empire building is. But I don't know how we got to this point. I know we're talking about the SWIFT system and the 300 billion, but I remember how we got here. It was about creating policies to figure out how to deal with these new issues that are arising in the Persian kingdom. So now we got Xerxes is pissed.
Yep.
His women didn't lock in. Now I'm going to go to my lawmakers and my law advisors to figure out what's the best way to go deal with this situation. Do I kill her? Do I ban her? Do I try to make it right with her? What do I do? Now, let's continue. Now we read verse 13 again in Esther. Esther 1 and 13.
All right. Esther chapter 1 and 13.
I know we're taking time, but I'd rather explain it the right way on the Sabbath. I've taught this class before, and we've kind of rushed through the concepts. But I think it's better to go and take our time and clarify it. It might take 2 weeks, but who cares? We got all the time in the world. Read on.
Verse 13. Then the king said to the wise men, which knew the times, for so was the king's manner toward all that knew law and judgment.
Yep.
And the next unto him was Karshanah, Shathar, Admatha, Tarshish, Meres, Marsena, and Memucan, the 7 princes of Persia and Media, which saw the king's face, and says, and which sat the first in the kingdom.
They saw how he got embarrassed. They saw how he got embarrassed, and they know this is a national issue, because word got out, not just amongst the royalty, but the common man saw this too.
Yeah, the everyday Joe.
Everybody heard, man. You heard about Xerxes, man? This dude got clowns. She said, "Not tonight. I'm not giving you nothing. I ain't even coming to see you." Yeah. So there's an effect. There's an effect on the nation.
The king's wife will not even listen to him.
So why should I listen to my man? I will not come out to do your bidding either. This is what's happening.
The men are vexed.
I had to sit back here and listen. King Vashti didn't listen to Xerxes. Who are you? You are nothing but a steel worker.
Yeah. You make
all you do is make boats. A boat maker.
Yeah.
This is the damn problem. This is the problem.
What do we do?
This is the council. This is a matter of national security. So let's keep going. Verse 15. The
party was good all year. Now the other party's kind of like.
Listen, now the problem is the word is spreading out.
Yeah.
Listen, Me Too movement. It's the first Me Too movement. Let's keep going.
Verse 15. What shall we do unto the queen Vashti according to the law? Because she have not performed the commandment of the king Ahasuerus.
These laws ain't no joke.
But they stick to the laws verbatim. Remember when the men in Babylon tried to set up Daniel?
Yeah.
By making the leader of vassal make a decree about for a month you can't pray to your gods.
Yep.
And by doing that, you can't sit back here and if it was decreed for a month you can't serve your gods. Then they sat back and caught Daniel serving and praying to the Most High. Then they said, see, you got to kill him because you made this law.
You made this rule.
And you can't change back from your law. And then the king was like, damn, man.
Yeah,
but this is the Persian law.
And I'm right.
Once a law is set up, you can't back away from it.
I'm right. The same thing goes for like when you said when Daniel went to the lion's den, right?
Yeah, that was the situation.
And he didn't want to do it. So it's like, man,
but the law, you tricked me and put me in with the law, and made me stick to the law. This was the Persian way, sticking to the law. Let's continue though. I was going to pull the verse, but we talked about it. Read on. Continue.
It says, verse 16, and Memucan answered before the king and the princes, Vashti, the queen have not done wrong to the king only, but also to all the princes.
I got to do it my rib now. Now I got my rib sitting back here and saying that she don't got to listen to me. Or my order is extreme. That's what's happening. Vashti, by her not locking in, said that your orders are extreme. I'm not going to follow extreme orders.
To change reactions. Right?
So if Vashti is saying your orders are extreme, all the wives of the princes and the common men are saying your orders are extreme. I don't have to follow extreme orders. Now we have this major conflict. Read on.
And to all the people that are in all the provinces of the king
of Xerxes. So listen, everybody, all the women in Xerxes' kingdom, they're complaining to their husbands about you're overworking me. You're not fair. And it's a trickle-down effect. Yeah. Read on.
For this deed of the queen shall come abroad unto all women, so that they shall despise their husbands in their eyes, when it shall be reported.
Yep.
Said the king Ahasuerus commanded Vashti the queen to be brought in before him, but she came not.
Now women are going to despise their husbands and lock. What that means is I'm not going to lock into you. I'm not going to follow you. So that takes you back also to Deuteronomy 28 where the curses are. Women are going to despise their husbands. That means they're not going to follow them. They're not going to listen to them. Not just hate you, but what is the greatest form of hatred a woman can do to a man? It's not follow him. It's not listen. You got to sometimes piece these things together. It's like memory. You hear these words, despise your husbands? Yeah, that's in Deuteronomy 28. But it's the same point. Despising is not listening and not following. Read on.
Verse 18. Likewise shall the ladies of Persia and Media say this day until all the king's princes which have heard of the deed of the queen. Thus shall there arise too much contempt and wrath. So,
it says there's going to arise too much contempt and wrath once these women stop listening. What does that mean?
Good question.
It says there's going to be too much contempt and wrath once these women stop following their man. What does that mean?
Contempt.
No. I'm just asking people. What's the contempt and wrath going to come from, the wife or the man? It's going to be some domestic violence issues, all right? It's going to be these Persian men and wife beaters out like cops out. Bad boys. What do? She don't listen to me. She didn't listen to me. She wasn't listening. They were following Vashti.
We have laws.
From India all the way to damn Ethiopia.
We have laws.
Like, bad boys. You want to jail. You're beating her. It's going to be contempt and wrath all through the 127 provinces. It's going to be Hamite men beating their wives. It's going to be damn Persian men beating their wives, Indian men, Babylonian men. It's like, this is what's going to happen. Yes,
it's going to be a lot of.
It's going to be an epidemic of wife beating situation. Yes, sis.
You know, sometimes in the Bible, a lot of times, from the way it's written, it almost seems like it's all happening in one moment. Is this happening like, boom, she asked for her to come, she didn't come, now this whole thought process happening right here, and if you will, the throne room or wherever the party scene, or did time pass and then issues started to arise because of this?
Well, they're counseling to circumvent this situation from happening.
Right now.
Because they're saying once, matter of fact, verse 16 says it. It says, Mumukan answered before the king and princes, Vashti the queen hath not done wrong to the king only, but also to all the princes and to all the people that are in all the province of King Ahasuerus, for this deed of the queen shall come abroad unto all women. This message is going to get leaked out, and we got to get ahead of this. You ever see, like on TV, there's these crisis companies that when you say something and it goes viral, they sit back and meet, and they sit back and find out how to stymie this viral situation. How do we sit back here and get ahead of this? How do you get ahead of this?
PR.
But this is what they're saying now. How do we get ahead of this situation so it doesn't spread through the provinces and women start getting disrespectful to their husbands, and then men resort to swinging on them and being violent? Then there's just chaos in all the households.
Yeah.
This is what they're saying. Because this is what's going to happen. When women start despising their husbands, stop following them, it's going to be this trickle-down effect of violence and fighting and aggression and unhappy households.
Yes.
So how do we get ahead of this? This is what it is. So they're figuring out how to make sure this doesn't get leaked. Because all it takes is one unit to leak it out. One of the guards, he'll sit back and spread it to this person, and it spread like wildfire. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. You being like Vashti. Oh, what did she do?
Oh, she was justified. Xerxes did nothing after it happened.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do? So listen, then you can't do anything about it. You see? Yeah. And now all of a sudden, then hands come out. Then bad things happen. This is how things happen. I'm not advocating violence. I'm saying this is what happens. Pride comes in. Attitude kicks in. Then men stop talking. They start yelling. Then things get violent. This is the nature of people in general. We don't advocate it. We're not advocating. They're just saying they understand the nature of people and how violence can escalate fast in these situations when there's no pride, when there's pride and there's no order and there's no respect. The only thing that keeps things from getting like this is mutual respect and order. Mm-hmm. And this situation eliminates the order. So, read verse 18 again.
It says, likewise shall the ladies of Persia and Media say this day unto all the king's princes which have heard of the deed of the queen, thus shall there arise too much contempt and wrath. If it please the king, let there go a royal commandment from him, and let it be written among the laws of the Persians and the Medes, that it not be altered.
So let's sit back here. You have to make an example of Vashti. And you got to show the provinces that disrespect is not going to be tolerated. To keep violence under control, to keep order amongst the people. Read on.
That Vashti come no more before King Ahasuerus.
So Xerxes, read on.
And let the king give her royal estate unto another that is better than she.
So it has, so for the sake, big picture wise, that example can't be accepted. Read on.
And when the king's decree, which he shall make, shall be published throughout all his empire, for it is great, all the wives shall give to their husbands honor, both to great and small.
Exactly. Read on.
And the same pleased the king and the princes, and the king did according to the word of Memucan. For he sent letters into all kings' provinces, and to every province according to the writing thereof, and to every people after their language, that every man should bear rule in his own house, and that it should be published according to the language of every people.
So once again, this was to make sure you maintain order in the empire. Somebody has to be an example so that everybody can learn what not to do. Okay? Now we're going to go back to the Josephus. We're going to go where we stopped to the end of paragraph 1, okay?
Con. We were in 193.
Okay.
Yeah, con. It says, he therefore gave order that they should inform him what could be done by the law against her. So one of them, whose name was Memucan, said that this affront was offered not to him alone, but to all the Persians who were in danger of leading their lives very ill with their wives.
So the retaliation to a woman being in order, these men weren't going to be doing all this talking. They was going to sit back here and get violent. Read on.
If they must be thus despised by them.
He said, if you're not going to respect me, most of these men are going to sit back here and deal with it violently, then sit back here and deal with it civilly. Read on.
Line 194.
So they're trying to clean up the situation.
Yes, it really worked. Read on.
For that none of their wives would have any reverence for their husbands, if they had such an example of arrogance in the queen towards thee, who rulest over all. Accordingly, he exhorted them to punish her, who had been guilty of so great an affront to him, after a severe manner. And when he had so done, to publish to the nations what had been decreed about the queen. So the resolution was to put Vashti away and to give her dignity to another woman.
So listen, I understand their thinking, but it also falls back on King Xerxes, because his extreme behavior caused another extreme behavior.
Yeah.
Which ended up putting the entire nation in a bad spot. So we're going to sit back and read, even in chapter 2, how he starts to possibly reconsider his own actions, and then what the leaders and princes do to make an adjustment on this. So let's go Esther chapter 2.
Esther chapter 2, verse 1 in the Bible. After these things, when the wrath of King Ahasuerus was appeased, he remembered Vashti and what she had done, and what was decreed against her. Then said the king's servant that ministered unto him, let there be fair young virgins sought for the king.
So listen. Verse 1 is saying, now King Xerxes remembers his rib, remembers the argument, remembers all the situations. The alcohol left him. And he's like, damn, maybe I was kind of tripping too. Maybe I was asking for some dumb stuff.
Yeah.
I was getting wild. That's my point.
To walk up the kingdom.
Tank, you got Tank, you playing some Tank, guys? Maybe I deserve. So now he's sitting back here like, damn, man, I messed up.
Yeah.
I messed up. Why did I ask him to do that, bro?
It was the alcohol.
Yeah. Blame it on the alcohol. Blame it on a whole 7 days for the alcohol. I was buzzing. You gotta understand, I was drunk. So he's sitting back here and possibly thinking about backwards recourse in the situation. But what do the king's servants or his advisors do in verse 2? Read verse 2.
Verse 2. Then said the king's servant that ministered unto him, let there be fair young virgins sought for the king.
I got to bring some gals that are going to take his mind off of Vashti. Because if I tell you what, if he backpedals on Vashti, what's Vashti going to do?
Do it again.
Vashti going to sit back here and get his advisors killed. This is king stuff, right? Listen, the advisors are the ones who told him to move on from her. So if she gets back in power and she finds out that this guy and that guy and that guy told the king to cut her off forever, what is she going to do in retaliation? This is Game of Thrones stuff. Who's seen Game of Thrones, that? Who was like, remember that head pimp that was in the middle of the city? What was that guy's name, Mike? Huh? Littlefinger. Listen, he understood the game, Mike. Littlefinger and the eunuch, and they sat back here in the cut, and they knew who to slide in the line with and who to back away, because this train is coming off the tracks. Let me slide off this guy. And it's a very sensitive, position to play, because you might pick the wrong side and you're dead. Sometimes you got to play the middle to figure out who's going to work. Sometimes you ride on one side, you ride on the other side. So this is what's happening in the kingship. like this. I told the king to get rid of this woman. Now he backtracks and brings her in. She gonna find out that I was the one that told him to get rid of her. I'm dead.
Who told you this?
It was Mordecai. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. It was him. He said it. Now Mordecai's going to be on the damn chopping block. So they said, "Listen, bro, we got to go full-fledged and get another woman out and get his mind off of Vashti, because we're gonna sit back here and die if we don't." That makes sense. This is Littlefinger. Mordecai is Littlefinger. Littlefinger. It's Littlefinger. Yes, this is exactly what it is. So, let's continue. This is why they got to double down and get these virgins in there quick.
ASAP.
Some bad ones in. Let's get some baddies in all around the province. We got 120. We got 31 flavors out. We gonna figure it out.
Yeah.
We gonna go all through the city and find them. Now, royal decree.
Where are the beauties?
Listen, from India to Ethiopia. Let's find them. So let's continue.
Verse 3. And let the king appoint of officers in all the provinces of his kingdom, that they may gather together all the fair young virgins unto Shushan the palace, to the house of the woman, unto the custody of
Hegi,
the king's chamberlain, keeper of the woman, and let their things for purification be given them.
So Hegi or Hegi, he's obviously a eunuch. These chamberlains, that was it. Their life was over, right?
Yeah.
So they said, man, their job is just to take care of the gals. Let's continue. Brother, look but don't touch. Read on.
Verse 4. And let the maiden which pleaseth the king be queen instead of Vashti. And the thing pleased the king, and he did so. Now in Shushan the palace there was a certain Jew, whose name was Mordecai, the son of Jair, the son of Shimei, the son of Kish, a Benjamite, who had been carried away from Jerusalem with the captivity which had been carried away with Jeconiah king of Judah, whom Nebuchadnezzar the king of Babylon had carried away.
Listen, all this is saying is he came from the family line that got transferred over. I think that's important to explain, because there were other Jews at different times that left Jerusalem before this time. So it was important to identify this group as the group that came from the group that made that trek down. Don't forget, we're down from 586 BC. We're in the 480s. There's no way this was the person that actually came from Babylon at the time. He came from the bloodline and family line of those people. Continue.
Verse 7. And he brought up Hadassah, that is Esther, his uncle's daughter, for she had neither father nor mother, and the maid was fair and beautiful, whom Mordecai, when her father and mother were dead, took for his own daughter.
So what's happening is, this sister Hadassah, Mordecai raised her as his own once Hadassah's family was killed. Okay? Read on.
Verse 8. So it came to pass, when the king's commandment and his decree was heard, and when many maidens were gathered together unto Shushan the palace, to the custody of Hegi, that Esther was brought also unto the king's house, to the custody of Hegi, keeper of the woman.
God.
And the maiden pleased him.
First of all, it really shows to the age of the time that all these women were taken out of their home countries, from their families, from their stability, and they had to come to a land and be subjugated to having to serve a person they don't even know. A lot of times we're frustrated about our condition, and about how difficult our condition is, and how we didn't ask for this, we didn't ask for that, we didn't ask to get put into this circumstance or that circumstance. Imagine these women.
Yeah.
Imagine the time period where it wasn't about you anyway, whether it's the women or you. Hell, you were sitting back here having to serve this person or serve this king, serve this situation, and it didn't matter how you feel. You were in service to the king. Whatever the king, this is what the Most High communicated to Samuel was going to happen if we asked for a king.
If you ask for a king, that's the problem.
You aren't going to have anything for yourself. You're going to be under the control of the king that is over you. And it's even worse, you're under the king, the gods of the king of another nation. who doesn't respect your laws and your ways.
Was where it went.
But look at how the Most High rates obedience. He looked at Esther as the right spirit for the job and the right spirit to get chosen for the responsibility. But why was she the right person to be chosen for the responsibility? You know, most of us, when we're chosen to do something we don't want to do, what's the first thing we do? We pout, we soak, but we pout and soak in different ways. Some yell and scream and throw tantrums. Others get distant and cold. Others cry. Others get violent. Those are different ways that we show immediate disdain. And over time, we learn to get over it. But look at Esther and how she operates off rip. It wasn't that she left from a bad situation and came to a great situation. She was in a stable situation and was made uncomfortable like the rest of these women that were brought for this Publishers Clearinghouse sweepstakes. get extra, get this chick. Their whole life was turned upside down. But what am I trying to bring out? Read what happens. Read verse 8 again.
Verse 8 says, So it came to pass, when the king's commandment and his decree was heard, and when many maidens were gathered together unto Shushan the palace to the custody of Hegi, that Esther was brought also unto the king's house to the custody of Hegi, keeper of the woman.
So listen, she had to go to this guy just like everybody else had to go to this guy. Read on.
Verse 9. And the maiden pleased him, and she obtained kindness of him.
That is a real significant virtue that a lot of us don't have. Can I be put into an uncomfortable, difficult situation and still be in order? Still be respectful? Still maintain my kindness and my humility? Still be obedient? And on top of that, not just do what the bare minimum, do enough to win the person that's in charge of you. That is a gift. That is a person that really understands it's not about them. Not only am I obedient, I am obedient to the point where I have won another person. You know who else like this? Joseph. Every place where Joseph was put into captivity and hard-ass bondage, he won the leaders. He won the people that were over him. Same thing with Daniel. We talk about how honorable we are, how much we serve the Most High. These people have gone above and beyond being in order. They went beyond just doing what they were supposed to do, but they were able to win the people that were over them by any means necessary, which meant it was never about them. That's the only way you can win somebody and go beyond just doing the bare minimum. So she had a gift at winning people and making people like them. But keep going. It just shows you. I'm only bringing this out because the ones the Most High work with, they always have these same character traits.
Qualities, yeah.
They all have these same mentalities. Men, women, they all operate the same. And he lets you know these are the kind of minds he's looking for. These are the type of people he wants to work with. It lets us know what to shoot for. Okay, read on.
Verse 9. And the maiden pleased him, and she obtained kindness of him, and he speedily gave her things for purification.
That means, listen, man, because you're so cool and you're making my life so easy, I'm going to sit back and push you up to the top of the list and get your purification materials quicker because because you have a better shot at winning them because you're up there at the top. I don't know if you ever seen that Love is Blind show. I don't watch it, but my rib be watching it. And like, you know what? They give you a couple people that you got to talk to, and you know whoever you connect with first. A lot of times that's the one that you choose. So he's like, I got to get her up in the list, so it gives her a better shot at connecting with him and winning him. And the quicker I get her up, the better shot she has of winning his heart. But if you're on the bottom of the totem pole, you might not ever get the shot. He might have 20 women, 30 women he's dealing with. So if you're number 19, guess what? He might not even get to you. And that's it. You're just stuck being a concubine. So because she was in order, and didn't trip. He pushed her up at the top of the list to give her the best shot to get chosen. But this is how the Most High honors your obedience. And what is interesting is when a man's ways please the Lord, even his enemies be at peace with him. This is a perfect example of it. So, read on.
With such things as belonged to her, and 7 maidens, which were meet to be given her.
And I'm going to give you 7 women whose job is to get you ready.
To assist you.
We'll give you the purification oils and fragrances and lotions and all that stuff. And 7 women to do your hair and get you right for when you meet them. Read on.
It says,
and I think it was like a 6-month to a year process. But read on.
It says, out of the king's house. And he preferred her and her maids unto the best place of the house of the woman.
So what he's doing is, I got the best helpers, and I put you in the best place to get you set up. But that love and consideration came because she was obedient off rip and didn't fight the process. She accepted the Most High had her go in that direction. Okay, read on.
Verse 10. Esther had not showed her people nor her kindred, for Mordecai had charged her that she should not show it.
What that verse is saying is that Esther didn't let anybody know what nation she was from. Mordecai said, don't tell nobody you're a Jew. And let you know Mordecai wasn't saying he was a Jew. This was an era of time when you weren't from Jerusalem. A lot of people were sitting back here and hiding who they were to fit in. And I brought this up early in class. A lot of us, yes, since they were concubines, we'll go into that in a second. But this was an era where a lot of Jews had to hide who they were just to fit in, just to get by. Just like a lot of Israel does this even in America. We'll sit back here and we know who we are, but we'll kind of play the game at the job to not bring more heat to us, to not take certain stances. You start taking stances at the job, you start keeping it real, guess what happens, Zach? You out of there, bro. Either you're out of there or you're like, hey, you're that guy.
Or you're canceled.
And you better be cold at the job. You better be irreplaceable.
Yeah.
If you're not irreplaceable, they're going to find somebody out. And most time what Esau does, they'll have you train them. They'll have you train your replacement. Yeah, listen, we're gonna just give them a couple weeks. You train them, get them. And all of a sudden, they get the promotion. They jump over you.
This guy's on a great job.
I just trained this guy. They don't tell you that he's his cousin, that he's his nephew. And they send nephew Jim by, like, you do all the work, show him every X, Y, Z. And then 2 weeks later, he's telling you what to do. He's giving you orders. He's giving you those micro dirty jobs. You know all the dirty jobs, the long crazy hours. And he's smiling in the office like this. The promotion you should have had.
Yeah.
Am I right or wrong? That happens all the time. So, you know what? Mordecai, Esther, they made the decision not to sit back here and rock the boat. But listen, there's consequences to not rocking the boat. Because now you're sitting back here and you're going to be put in constant moral dilemmas. There's pork there. There's pork pizza at the company office. You guys are making excuses. Oh, I ate earlier. Or I'm sick. I'm allergic.
I'm not in the mood.
I'm just tired. And you got to come on. You got to keep ducking and dodging just to survive the job. And then you're constantly pushed in these moral conundrums. I know. There's a few more minutes on. To where we're forced to sit back here and make decisions we don't want to make. Right? So, let's continue though. But so, just setting the tone, they weren't claiming who they were, but the Most High was going to force them to draw the line on who they were and force them to establish who they were. That's the other catch. He's going to force you to sit back here and set up and fight for who you are and stick your neck out there. You can't hide for long. Read on.
Verse 11. And Mordecai.
Matter of fact, Cry, you have to leave, man. It's time, bro. It's like 12:30, man. I'll have you, listen, just go set up. So y'all ready today? Let's do it. Y'all ready today? We're gonna need the help. Listen, let's get you in. I don't know what to say. That wasn't talked about earlier.
Jonathan, Shah Shabbatah, Banya Howard, Banya Shah.
Jonathan, Shah Shabbatah, Banya Howard, Banya. I'm sorry. Jonathan, Shal Shabbatah. Ban Yehoda. Ban Yashua. I'm Moshe. What? Yehovah Hashem Yal Shabbatah.
Yahweh Hashem Yahweh.
Perfect.
Make a phone call. I got you.
All right, I got it. Let's get Let's continue. So what we're at Esther chapter 2 and verse 10 again. Let's do 10 again.
Book of Esther, chapter 2, verse 10. Esther had not showed her people, nor her kindred, for Mordecai had charged her that she should not show it.
So when you're in a foreign country, sometimes you're forced to make those decisions to like not rock the boat, but the Most High forces us to establish who we are down the line. Let's continue.
And Mordecai walked every day before the court of the women's house to know how Esther did and what should become of her.
So Mordecai has obviously shown that concern as a father, just to see how things are going, to see what her chances are, just to keep checking on her circumstance. Read on.
Now when every maid's turn was come to go into King
Ahasuerus.
after that she had been 12 months, according to the manner of women.
So there was 12 months of purification that a woman had to go through to be prepared to even deal with the king. Everything back in those days took time. Nothing was rushed. So every woman had to go 12 years to get her, 12 months to get her, together. Clean, hair did, whatever the hell you got to do, clothing, mindset. More than likely, they were trained with etiquette. Whatever the lesson they had to go through was 12 years of physical and mental training to get ready to deal with this man. Read on.
For so were the days of their purifications accomplished, to wit, 6 months with oils of myrrh, and 6 months with sweet odors, and with other things for the purifying of the women.
Whatever was done, they were going to just sweat awesomeness. Yes, sis. Whatever it is 6 months of myrrh and 6 months of sweet smells, you was going to sweat. You was going to sweat good. It wasn't going to be no hamburger smells. It was going to be pure awesomeness. Whatever you want to visualize, stink sweat, it ain't going to be that. Yes. Is this going 6? That's 12 months of layers of smells. You getting there? What's that, sis?
Does this relate to? I remember reading something in scriptures where when our women would take concubines, they would have to pare their nails and shave their hair.
That was a lower level purification, but that was for the broke folk.
Okay.
This is rich purification.
But it's like, I guess it give them time to mourn.
Yes.
And
That was during the wars in Deuteronomy. I think it was chapter 20. It's the rules of war. If you take a woman during war, you have to wait. She can wait a year, shave her head, cut her nails, get her sadness from losing her family out the way, then you take her on. But this is a whole other level. You get oils and purification tonics and seven women to sit back here and get you ready. You getting trained the whole 9. This is different. 6 years of myrrh. 6 months of myrrh. 6 months of some sweet odors, and you good. I don't know how that smells, but I know it's awesome. So once again, it was the best of the best of the best. Now we get into the details. Let's get to verse 13.
Verse 13. Then thus came every maiden unto the king.
He says, then came every maiden unto the king. Read on.
Whatsoever she desired was given her to go.
You better pick out that outfit. You better pick out the right dress. You better pick out the right outfit. You got one shot to win this man. So pick out the right outfit. Read on.
With her out of the house of the women unto the king's house.
So it says, she was given her to go with her out of the house of the women unto the king's house. So after this 12 months, you pick your outfit, you pick your jewelry, you pick out whatever the hell you got to do. Now you're going to go to the king's house tonight. Read on.
In the evening, she went.
So when she goes home, when she goes to his house, she goes at night. Whatever the hell, listen, you go that night to see your man. Read on. For the first time ever. You've never seen him before. This is the first time you're going to see him. You better get your Sunday best or whatever the hell best you got on. Saturday night best. You better be ready to go. Read on.
And on the morrow, she returned into the second house of the women.
So he says in the night you went in the morning you go back to the second house where all the other women were in the concubine section. What they're saying is, a lot of times, you get one shot to win your man. If not, he'll never see you again. That was it. So there was a lot of pressure. It wasn't like you had it was a bad night. I wasn't comfortable with him. Shit. You know what? That might be the case. But he might not see you again. More than likely, after they go out there to win him, they don't see you again. You go back home in the woman's house and you stay there indefinitely. This was how the process went. So, read verse 14 from the top again.
In the evening she went, and on the morrow she returned into the second house of the women, to the custody of Shashgaz, the king's chamberlain, which kept the concubines. She came in unto the king no more.
She went to the king's room no more. Read on.
Except the king delighted in her.
Listen, if the king wasn't feeling you, he wasn't calling you back. You was stuck in the girl's house forever. You had one shot to win that man. You had one shot to build that connection. And if you didn't build it, he wouldn't call you back. Read on.
And that she were called by name.
So he better remember your name. He better remember your name, or your name won't be called again. And you going back into remember that Eminem song got one shot at?
Yeah.
Lose yourself. You better lose yourself. You better sit back here and go and make this man happy. He better never forget you. Because if you don't, you're going to be forgotten. You'll never remember you, and you'll just be stuck as a concubine that never gets called on. There's a lot of pressure, man. There's a lot of pressure. So he says the king better like you, and he better remember your name, or you'll never get called again. And it's not like he gets a chance to see you all the time. He better remember how things went down.
I would like to meet her.
And they'll see her again. But a lot of them didn't. Read on. This is a pressure, man. This is pressure. Read on.
Now when the turn of Esther, the daughter of Abihail, the uncle of Mordecai, who had taken her for his daughter, was come to go in unto the king, she required nothing but what Hegi, the king's chamberlain, the keeper of the women, appointed.
So Hegi liked her, was cool with her, said, man, you're going to need this girl, you're going to need this, and this is going to win him. You better say this, you better roll this way.
No.
He gave her all the advice
This is favorite
she
color.
needed. He likes this. He already told me.
Yeah.
He already told me his stories, man.
Yeah.
This is how you got to do it. So, once again, she wouldn't have had what she was at unless she was in order. Hegi gave her all the intel she needed, what to wear, how to roll, to win him and catch his attention. She had a great advantage, but she didn't obtain the advantage without humility. Okay, let's continue.
And Esther obtained favor in the sight of all them that looked upon her.
It wasn't just looks, it was her humility behind the looks. She had the total package. But her humility gave her the advantage she needed to win the king. So it wasn't she was just that broad. I'm that, you know what? No, you're not.
No.
You better be humble. Being humble, it makes you that you know what. Read on.
I am the king.
So Esther was taken unto King Ahasuerus into his house royal in the 10th month, which is the month of Tebeth, in the 7th year of his reign.
So once again, we're getting, listen, this thing started in the third year of his reign. Now we're in the 7th. Now we're 4 years in. It took him 4 years to get a new rib. Now he had concubines, but it took him 4 years to get a new wife. This process, this whole Esther book goes a long way down the line. 4 years later, now Esther gets her shot.
This is a process then.
This is a 10-year process, this book of Esther.
See, I read it through. Like,
This happened in next week. She gets married. No, bro. It's a year to get prepped. It took year. It took time to get the Star Search group out.
Yeah.
To get the best talent to even come together. That takes time. All this takes time. So now, 7 years later, listen, that one shot she nailed it. She hit it out the park. Okay? Read verse 17.
And the king loved Esther above all the women.
She knew exactly, based on intel and her natural charm, to win this guy. Read on.
And she obtained grace and favor in his sight more than all the virgins.
Like I said, that's not an easy task. That's not an easy task. And that means the other ones were sent back. Yes, sis?
Sorry, I got a timeline question. Sorry, trying to draw this together. So when Mordecai asked him, or excuse me, when Mordecai seen the situation with the two units that were trying to get murdered, that was before or after?
Before.
That was before. So this grabbing all virgins and taking her there happened at a different time. So he took the reign at 481 BC, and then
No, he took the reign.
486.
He took the reign in 486.
486.
Now, this story started in 483. Because it was 3 years later when he had that feast.
Okay.
So 483. Now we're at 479. Another reason that it took so long for this to happen. Remember we talked about Xerxes was at war with Greece.
So those 40 years, that's when he was Christian.
Now he fought Greece in 480. So he came back a year later to go deal with his wife's situation. That's another reason it took so long. He's out here in conquest mode.
Okay, so 479 is when all this.
When he got married with Esther, before 80, he was already fighting. Remember, the years are going downward.
Right.
So in 480, he was fighting the Greeks. He left, came back to do more fighting, but he married Esther in between time.
Okay.
What's the question?
No, that's the. I was trying to get a picture of time.
483, 480 is when 483 is when Vashti started tripping.
Okay.
480, that he's going to war with the Greeks. 479, he marries Esther. These are all approximate times.
Okay. So about a year. Okay.
Yes. So verse 17 again.
And the king loved Esther above all the women. And she obtained grace and favor in his sight more than all the virgins, so that he set the royal crown upon her head and made her queen instead of Vashti.
So listen, she won him. She was humble. She learned everything from the chamberlain. Obviously Hedgie understood what it took to win the king's heart. He knew what he was into. So he put her on game and she followed. She was following the entire time. She didn't sit back here and put her way on the thing. She followed. And she got rewarded because of her humility and her personable nature. Okay, read on.
Verse 18. Then the king made a great feast unto all his princes and his servants, even Esther's feast. And he made a release to the provinces and gave gifts according to the state of the king. And when the virgins were gathered together the second time, then Mordecai sat in the king's gate. Esther had not yet showed her kindred nor her people.
Once again, Esther kept saying, Esther wasn't letting anybody know what she was. Read on.
As Mordecai had charged her. For Esther did the commandment of Mordecai, like as when she was brought up with him.
Mm-hmm.
In those days, while Mordecai sat in the king's gate, two of the king's chamberlains, Bigthan and Teresh, of those which kept the door, were wroth, and sought to lay hand on the king
Ahasuerus.
Ahasuerus.
Now listen, you mentioned about timelines. This timeline gets kind of fishy. They said, the scripture says in those days is when these men started to establish their uprising. The Josephus says that this uprising happened earlier in Xerxes' reign. When there's a doubt of timing, you always go back to the scriptures. Now it would make more sense that the uprising with these chamberlains happened now around the 480, 479 period, because we're going to sit back here and read later on that these chamberlains did this because they were hired by the Greeks to do so. We'll get that later on. So it makes more sense that in the middle of the Persian conquest of Greece, that they establish an assassination attempt to spare the Greek people. Okay? And like I mentioned earlier, in 480 BC was when they officially started attacking Thermopylae, which is in Greece, with that whole Sparta thing. So what they're saying is in this time period that the Greeks were being attacked and Esther was being chosen as the queen was when this fighting happened, was when this attack on the king's life happened. Okay, read on.
Verse 22. And the thing was made known to Mordecai, who told it unto Esther the queen. And Esther certified the king thereof in Mordecai's name.
So this scripture says that Mordecai told Esther and Esther told the king. The Josephus, the Apocrypha doesn't say it that way. So once again, we're going to go and stick with the scriptures. So Esther also put the king on game that these guys were trying to kill him. They ended up killing him. They ended up killing those chamberlains, saved the king's life. Read on.
And when inquisition was made of the matter, it was found out. Therefore, they were both hanged on a tree. And it was written in the book of the Chronicles before the king.
Mm-hmm.
Chapter 3.
Matter of fact, let me sit back here before I go there. Let's go in Josephus. Yeah. Josephus 11. Book 6, paragraph 2 and 3.
This is line 195.
Yeah, it's paragraph 2. Mine is always an older one. I have an older Josephus, so it doesn't have them broken out in numbers like that. All I have is the paragraph numbers. So yeah, it's book 11. I'm sorry. Yeah, I said book 11, chapter 6, paragraph 2.
All right.
Yes, sir.
But the king, having been fond of her, he did not well bear a separation.
So once again, this is going back to Xerxes not liking the fact that he lost Vashti.
That kind of, but it still bothered me.
Definitely.
Because it took years, right?
Well, this is a process. Read on.
And yet, by the law, he could not admit of a reconciliation.
Mm-hmm.
So he was under trouble, as not having it in his power to do what he desired to do. But when his friends saw him so uneasy, they advised him to cast the memory of his wife and his love for her out of his mind, and to send abroad over all the habitable earth, and to search out for comely virgins.
Just like men do now in the world. You go through a breakup, let's go to the club. It's the same thing, huh?
Yeah.
Read on. You don't have to call. That's what it is, huh? Oh, Usher song, huh?
Yeah, it's Usher song right now.
But let's keep going, huh?
And to take her whom he should best like for his wife, because his passion for his former wife would be quenched by the introduction of another. And the kindness he had for Vashti would be withdrawn from her and be placed on her. That was with him. Accordingly, he was persuaded to follow this advice and gave order to certain persons to choose out the virgins that were in his kingdom, those that were esteemed the most comely. So when a great number of these virgins were gathered together, there was found a damsel in Babylon, whose parents were both dead, and she was brought up with her uncle Mordecai, for that was her uncle's name. This uncle was of the tribe of Benjamin, and was one of the principal persons among the Jews. Now it proves that this damsel, whose name was Esther, was the most beautiful of all the rest, and that the grace of her countenance drew the eyes of the spectators principally upon her. So she was committed to one of the eunuchs to take care of her, and she was very exactly provided with sweet odors in great plenty, and with costly ointments, such as her body required to be anointed withal. And this was used for 6 months by the virgins, who were in number 400.
400 women to choose from. Don't you see why it was important to bring her to the top of the line versus 400 of them? That competition's out of this world.
Listen, bro. If he connects number 50, he's done, bro.
I know. Let's keep going. He was smiling though. Let's keep going.
And when the eunuch
This is a good idea.
thought the virgins had been sufficiently purified in the forementioned time and were now fit to go to the king's bed, he sent one to be with the king every day. So when he had accompanied her, he sent her back to the eunuch. And when Esther had come in, he was pleased with her and fell in love with the damsel and married her and made her his lawful wife and kept a wedding feast for her on the 12th month of the 7th year of his reign, which was called Adar.
Nadar. Mm-hmm.
He also sent Angari, as they are called, or messengers unto every nation, and gave orders that they should keep a feast for his marriage, while he himself treated the Persians and the Medes and the principal men of the nations for a whole month on account of this his marriage. Accordingly, Esther came to his royal palace, and he set a diadem on her head. And thus was Esther married, without making known to the king what nation she was derived from.
Mm-hmm.
Her uncle also removed from Babylon.
It also lets you know that Xerxes wasn't a real deep dude. He didn't ask a lot of questions. You're going to sit back and you're going to see how he ran his kingdom. He was very surface, a very non-thorough kind of guy. You're going to see that all throughout the scriptures. But this guy he wasn't picking up on little things at all. You don't know what tribe your woman's from? Whatever it is, I'm into her looks. I'll take her.
She pretty, huh?
You don't need, listen, you didn't ask no questions. What's your name? What's your size? You don't know none of that stuff, all right? You're asking nothing. That's what color you like? I don't care. What tribe? You don't know what tribe she's from? She's from the tribe of bad. That's what she's from the bad tribe. That's all I need.
What are you?
It don't even matter. It don't even matter.
She brown, she bad, dog.
That's cool, dog. That's all I need to know, man. We gonna have this wedding, man. She's better than Bassy, man. That's all that matters to me. It's crazy, This guy is a real surface dude, We won't find out. Let's keep going,
Her uncle also removed from Babylon to Shushan and dwelt there, being every day about the palace and inquiring how the damsel did.
Now, Josephus is saying that Mordecai made his trip. He ended up relocating to Shushan to keep an eye on it. The scriptures didn't say that, but Josephus is saying that he made that transition to Persia from Babylon to follow her and keep an eye on her. Okay, read on.
For he loved her as though she had been his own daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Now the king had made a law that none of his own people should approach him unless they were called. When he sat upon his throne, and men with axes in their hands stood around about his throne in order to punish such as approached to him without being called.
Now, what they're saying in this paragraph 3 is there was a royal decree that you just can't roll up into my damn royal quarters and start talking to me.
Like you want to do.
If you come up here and ask me some questions, I got hatchet men ready for you. These guys sitting here with axes out. Like, did you sit back and clear this guy to come through? No. Yeah. That's how it was. And that was royal law that you couldn't break. The same royal law where the king himself wasn't going to break on Vashti.
Yep.
Even though he wanted to.
Yep.
So these guys were principled in living by their words and their decrees. So this was part of the law. This is what made what Esther do so faithful. But we'll go into that later. Read on.
However, the king sat with a golden scepter in his hand, which he held out when he had a mind to save anyone of those that approached to him without being called.
So listen, it was like those I don't want to bring that comparison up. But the point is, he brought his scepter up if he changed his mind and wanted them to come through. Okay, read on.
And he who touched it was free from danger. But of this matter we have discoursed sufficiently. Sometime after this, 2 eunuchs, Bigthan and Teresh, plotted against the king, and Barnabas, the servant of one of the eunuchs, being by birth a Jew, was acquainted with their conspiracy and discovered it to be the queen's uncle. And Mordecai, by means of Esther, made the conspirators known to the king.
So this sits back here and fits the timeline way better than what we were going through in Esther. I made that adjustment even online. I'm going to sit back here and put this and line it up with Esther chapter 2. So it makes more sense that these 2 chamberlains sat back and tried to kill Xerxes now. This is around 479 BC. This is after the Greeks had already been attacked. We'll bring that out. I don't want to spoil the whole point, but this makes sense why this assassination attempt was established after the Greeks got invaded. But let's continue.
This troubled the king, but he discovered the truth and hanged the eunuch upon a cross, while at that time he gave no reward to Mordecai, who had been the occasion of his preservation. He only bade the scribes to set down his name in the records and bade him stay in the palace as an intimate friend of the king.
So what happened is, he didn't give him an official reward. Well, he said, listen, man, scribe, listen, man, just write down the records and just let him be in a big house, man. Let him be in a big house for this work. So this is Mordecai earning his way up the hard way. But he didn't get an official ceremony acknowledging him saving the king. Because obviously Xerxes was in preservation mode. He had a lot of things going on with the Greeks, and he was an aloof dude. We'll go into that later. Read on. Matter of fact, hold that. We finished 2 and 3. Now let's jump back to I did do this. I messed up and rewrote it. Okay. Let's give me 1 second, Gerard. I put this here, but I didn't get rid of the first one in my notes. So I gotta redo this when I get a chance. Rewrite it. Scratch that out. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is now read paragraph 4 in Josephus. Let's do that. It's like paragraph 4. Yeah, sometimes after this. It's in the Josephus stuff.
Right. Sometime after this, 2 eunuchs, Bigthan and Teresh, plotted against the king, and Barnabas.
No, I'm sorry. I said 4, didn't I? Man, I made a mistake. Salakia. Let that go and go to Esther 3 and 1.
Okay, the book of Esther in the Bible, chapter 3, verse 1. After these things did King Ahasuerus promote Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, and advanced him, and set his seat above all the princes that were with him.
Now this is an important part, because it explains why the battle between Mordecai and Haman was so vicious. Okay? So what we're reading is that Xerxes ends up promoting this guy Haman during this same time period. It didn't say necessarily afterwards, but during this time period when he is at war with Greece, he ends up promoting Haman and elevates him to the position of a high advisor. But he was an Agagite. Now we're going to sit back and go in the scriptures to figure out who in the hell or what the hell an Agagite is.
Exactly.
We're going to go to 1 Samuel chapter 15, verse 1. So we can go into the history of the Agagites. Okay.
15 and 1, right?
Yeah, 1 Samuel 15, verse 1 through 9. And then we're going to jump to like 31 through 33. I don't want to read the whole thing, but it's important that we set the tone for this story about Agag. So Haman is of the lineage of Agag. Okay? I get that. Yeah. Did I answer that question for you since about the concubines? Because once you dealt with them, you better win them. Because if not, you're going to forget about you. And you're going to be in the house just withering away. Never being seen again. So, let's get 15 and 1. First Samuel. Let's Can you get this one, Ayele? You can do this one. I'll get you back on the Josephus party, man.
Well, good job, man.
Oh, you're good. We're good. We're good.
Bomani, Shabbatah, Banya Howard,
Okay. Then it's Ban Yasharala.
Banya Shabbat.
Okay. Bomani, Shah Shabbatah, Ban Yahawah, Ban Yasharala. And much of What? Yahweh Hashem Yahshua Barakatah. Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shah Barakatah. Yes, sir.
Perfect.
That was smooth, man. That was good. That was perfect. All right, so we're going to do 1 Samuel chapter 15, verse 1. We're just going to run it down to verse 9. And because this is the whole chapter, I don't think we need to do the whole thing. This is when Samuel is working with the first king Saul. Now, this is like strike 3 for Saul. There was multiple times when Saul disobeyed the Heavenly Father. And this is like the final chance the Most High has given Saul to do right. And he still can't figure it out. Don't forget, we're going here because we're trying to sit back here and figure out what the hell is an Agagite. What is that? Haman is an Agagite. So, let's go. Verse 1 of 1 Samuel 15.
Okay, in the Bible, Samuel 1:15, chapter 15, 1.
Mm-hmm.
Samuel also said unto Saul, the Lord sent me to anoint thee to be king over his people, over Israel. Now therefore hearken thou unto thy voice of the words of the Lord. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, I remember that which Amalek did to Israel, how he laid wait for him in the way when he came up from Egypt.
So what's happening is Saul, through the Most High, is reminding Samuel. The Most High is communicating to Saul to remind Samuel. The Most High is communicating to Samuel to remind Saul about the history of Amalek. Amalek, after we crossed over the water, okay, the Red Sea, and we got rid of, the Most High eliminated the soldiers of the Egyptians. As soon as we crossed over, Amalek waited for us for a sneak attack. That was when, remember, Joshua showed himself to be brilliant in war, and Moses had to keep his hands up. And when his hands were up, we were winning. When his hands dropped, we started losing. And then it was Aaron and another brother kept his hands up to win the fight. Point is, that was the situation when Amalek lost. But they came, for the fact that they came in and attacked us from the rear, is an aspect of why the Most High has such an issue with Amalek. When you sit back and read Amalek, Amalek's lineage connects all the way back to Esau. This is one of the first times when you hear about Esau getting in the way of the Jews. So Amalek are Edomites. We'll prove that more down the line. But Saul is being reminded about how the Most High had a problem with this particular family of Edomites. You're done.
Verse 3, now go and smite Amalek and utterly destroy all that they have, and spare them not, but slay both man and woman, infant and suckling, ox and sheep, camel and ass. And Saul gathered the people together and numbered them in Telaim, 200,000 footmen and 10,000 men of Judah. And Saul came to a city of Amalek and laid wait in the valley. And Saul said unto the Kenites, go, depart, get you down from among the Amalekites, lest I destroy you with them, for you showed kindness to all the children of Israel.
So the Kenites had certain Kenites had residence near the Amalek towns, but other Kenites followed us up to Jerusalem. Those Kenites were the ones, well, at least portions of the families were kin to this man named Jehonadab that was talked about in Jeremiah, which were nations that served the Jews and followed the Hebrew ways. They were strangers that were in order with the Heavenly Father. And the Most High said, these Kenites, these seed of Jehonadab, arose with more reverence to the Heavenly Father than the Jews. So this kind of goes into the fact that even the Most High had a respect towards the nations who served the Most High. And there's no disputing that. The Most High has issues with the nations that don't acknowledge the Heavenly Father. Not all the nations. If the nations are in order of the Heavenly Father, He's going to acknowledge them. But these Kenites, because they've shown love towards the Jews, He says, y'all need to get out the way because we're about to stomp on these boys, these Amalek boys. And they got out the way. Read on.
All right. When they came up out of Egypt. So the Kenites departed from among the Amalekites. And Saul smote the Amalekites from Havilah until thou comest to Shur, that is over against Egypt.
That whole region is like the Saudi Arabian region, peninsula. Read on.
And he took Agag,
Agag.
the king of the Amalekites, alive.
That Agag, this is that person we're talking about now in the book of Esther. Agag, an Agagite. So Saul was supposed to sit back here and wipe out all the people, all the children, all the women, everything. Nothing was supposed to live in this fight. But what did Saul do? He smote the Amalekites, but he took the king. He took him as a
He
prisoner.
broke his orders.
He didn't follow. This is a normal thing for Saul, not following orders. Read on.
All right, from the top of 8.
Mm-hmm.
And he took Agag, the king of the Amalekites, alive, and utterly destroyed all the people with the edge of the sword. But Saul and the people spared Agag, or Agag, and the best of the sheep.
Now listen, when you first read it, you think he just spared the man. But when you sit back and look at it now, he spared his family. He spared his seed. Because from this time in Samuel, this is an Israelite golden age of leadership. You still got Agagites living in the Persian time. So it wasn't just Agag that was spared. It was Agag and his direct family that Saul spared. Read on.
From the top, 9. But Saul and the people spared Agag, and the best of the sheep, and of the oxen, and of the fatlings, and the lambs, and all that was good, and would not utterly destroy them, but everything that was vile and refuse, that they destroyed utterly.
Everything that didn't look good, they got rid of. Everything that looked good, they kept. That's not following orders. So now let's jump to verse 31 through 33. The whole chapter is awesome, but I don't want to completely divert from the point. We're dealing with Agag and his family. Now listen, now we're at 31, and Samuel finds out what Saul did. Okay, read on.
Verse 31 out of Samuel, 1 Samuel. So Samuel turned again after Saul, and Saul worshipped the Lord. Then said Samuel, bring ye hither to me Agag, the king of the Amalekites.
So what happens is Samuel, from the time we're reading from verse 9 to 31, he says the kingdom is rent from you and the Most High is done with you. So what Saul does, he starts praying like he's sorry, trying to make things right.
But he didn't really.
He says, while you're worshiping, give me Agag. Bring me this dude. Read on.
And Agag came unto him delicately.
Yeah, he's like, man, I don't know if the heat's still on. I'm going to walk here real gingerly because I don't know. I got out here. I won the king. I talked to Saul. He said it's cool. But this dude looks kind of pissed. He delicately walked to the Samuel guy. Read on.
And Agag said, surely the bitterness of death is past.
Now listen, Agag already saw his people get wiped out. Now maybe his family was saved. But he was like, the rest of the nation got wiped out. Surely ain't no more death happening. Read on.
1 Samuel in 33, chapter,
15,
verse 15:33. And Samuel said, as thy sword hath made women childless, so shall thy mother be childless among women. And Samuel hewed Agag in pieces before the
That was a hell of a death.
That's real,
at
bro.
Gilgal.
So listen, Agag got wiped out. But that don't mean his people or his seed got wiped out. The son must have survived. There must have been an heir that survived.
Well, it said the boys had left on horses.
No, it didn't say that there. It didn't say the boys left on horses. It said He told the Kenites to leave.
Yeah.
He wiped out everybody but saved Agag. But you got to put two and two together. If he saved Agag, he saved his people, his children. The only person that Samuel killed was literally Agag. But that Agag's dead, that doesn't mean that Agag's son was dead. And his progeny continued on. And now we're here with Haman being an Agagite, working his way to the top of the kingdom of the Persian Empire. And we know that Agag is an Amalekite. Haman is an Amalekite, which we know is an Edomite. Okay? This is important. It explains where this bitterness and this hatred that Haman has towards the Jews. Once he finds out Mordecai is a Jew, now he wants to wipe out the entire nation. Doesn't it make sense now why he wants to wipe out the nation? He wants to wipe out the nation because of what? The Jews wiped out his nation. Saul wiped out his people. So he wants retribution.
So well, basically, when we left Egypt, they still attacked us.
Yes.
Then when we got in power, we broke them.
Yeah, and then when we fell, Edomites sat back here and ransacked our land even more. There's been back and forth between Jacob and Esau for years. But this man, Haman, is rising up in power. This dude, Mordecai, doesn't honor him. Well, we'll go on to it. I don't want to spill the beans. Let's continue. Now let's go back to Esther 3 and verse 2. Now we know Haman is an Agagite. We know the Agagites are Edomites, of the lineage, specifically the royal line of the Amalekites, is what Haman is from. The royal line. Also, you got to understand this. When you're reading about, like, back in the day where it says they utterly got killed, the reality is I've read multiple times about utterly being killed, but the nations keep surviving later on. They weren't all the way wiped out. So now we're here. Agag's lineage wasn't all the way wiped out. Now we're in verse 2.
Esther, chapter 3, verse 2.
Mm-hmm.
And all the king's servants that were in the king's gate bowed and reverenced Haman, for the king had so commanded concerning him. But Mordecai bowed not, nor did him reverence.
So what we're going to read later on is that it doesn't make sense that Mordecai just didn't even give him a basic complimentary bow. But Mordecai explains why he didn't bow to him in his prayer later on. But Mordecai doesn't bow, doesn't acknowledge Haman at all. Okay, read on.
Then the king's servants which were in the king's gate said unto Mordecai, why transgressest thou the king's commandment?
Why aren't you following the king's commandment? Read on.
Now it came to pass when they spake daily unto him.
So this was a daily thing. Listen, the servant, listen, you're not bowing down on mine. It's every day you're blowing this guy off. Every day you standing tall. And everybody's like this. And he's like this. Nah, bro, I ain't giving you nothing. I ain't giving you nothing. I'm like this. I'm gonna give you that middle, like, I ain't giving you nothing, B. And Haman is like getting all this praise and me Lord. And this dude's looking at you 1,000-yard stare, bro. I ain't giving you nothing. Listen, man, it doesn't make sense. It looks like he's full of pride when you read it from you read it. But when you read Mordecai's prayers, this man, it wasn't about pride at all. This is about, let's put it down. This isn't about pride. This is about the fact that this man, Haman, wanted to be reverenced like a god. So you see, the Most High.
Another one.
See, but this is the situation. This is when every one of us that are trying to play it cool in the world, you can only play it cool for so long. When you try to hide and fit in, you can only fit in for so long, and we all get pushed to a position where you have to make a stand. And you have to make a stand for who you are. You can only, play both sides and play the game for so long till the Most High pushes you into a position where you have to stand up for your beliefs. And then when you do stand up for your beliefs, there is a lot of blowback that comes behind it. What Mordecai could have just said is, I'm a Jew, man, and we don't bow down to like regular nations, regular people. We don't bow down to no man. We serve the Lord. But he couldn't say that either. So he just didn't say nothing. So now you stick out like a sore thumb. When we do what's right according to the scriptures, you stick out like a sore thumb in the eyes of the rest of the world. And this is what's happening. He finally had to make his stand, and now he's sweating bullets because eventually he could lose. The entire nation could die because he took that stand. So let's continue.
Verse 4. Now it came to pass when they spake daily unto him, and he hearkened not unto them, that they told Haman to see whether Mordecai's matter would stand, for he had told them that he was a Jew.
So listen, Mordecai told the servants that he was a Jew, and that's why he doesn't bend down and serve Haman. The servants end up sitting back here and bringing that up.
We didn't know.
Bringing it to Haman, huh?
We don't know those guys, man.
Well, listen, because they kept asking him every day, kept asking Mordecai, why aren't you bowing down to this guy? Then Mordecai finally says, man, I don't bow down because I'm a Jew. We don't do that. Now, once the servants hear that, they say, hey, Haman, he ain't serving you because he's a Jew. He wanted them boys that they don't serve no man. Because don't forget, the word is out about the Jews that they're a rebellious bunch. And we read that about when Cambyses was sitting back here, got letters from the Samaritans and the Edomites, and all the surrounding people. They said, man, these Jews are a rebellious bunch. They don't follow nobody. They don't follow nobody's customs. So that's another reason why the Jews don't say nothing. So now Mordecai tells the servants tell Haman, Mordecai don't serve you because he's a Jew. And now his eyes are on fire. And now he's like, you know, this is messed up. These damn Jews have been killing my people and exterminating my people for years. Now it's my turn to get back at them. I got the power to leverage my position and exterminate these people and retaliate for all the years of destruction that they put on me. Does that make sense now? Why Haman was so extreme with his decision? Because he could have just sat back here and had Mordecai killed. Why couldn't he just say, man, I want this guy killed?
Yeah, 10 feet high gallows too.
But even before the gallows, he could have just ordered Mordecai to be killed because he was out of order. He had to sit back here. You're going to sit back and read all the work he put into setting up a plot to kill the Jews. He did it because of his hatred for the Jews based upon his familial history of the Jews wiping out his royal lineage. And we read also in the book of Esther that he was mad at Mordecai because Mordecai foiled a plot about these concubines, I mean not concubines, but these chamberlains, these eunuchs, trying to kill Xerxes. We will get the understanding with that also. So, let's go to verse 5 in Esther 3.
Verse 5. And when Haman saw that Mordecai bowed not, nor did him reverence, then was Haman full of wrath. And he thought scorn to lay hands on Mordecai alone.
He said, you know, let me just get this dude and wipe this dude off the map. Then he said back, he said, no, let me think this thing through. Let me do it a better way. You ever sit back when you're angry? You sit back and find, you develop better murder thoughts. Once you just, let me stop thinking, let me really get these guys. What you going to say?
No, I get it. Because it said bare hands on alone. Like, he wanted to put hands on him alone. So he wanted to fight pretty much.
Listen, he had a problem with him. But he says, what's the best way to get him? Meaning alone, meaning I can just kill him alone.
Okay.
Versus sitting back here, let me kill all the nation. That's a better way to do it. Let me wipe them off the map.
Yeah.
Just like Saul tried to wipe my family off the map. It's like Samuel tried to wipe my family off the map. I can avenge my fathers and my father's fathers. See? Read on.
And he thought scorn to lay hands on Mordecai alone, for they had showed him the people of Mordecai. Wherefore Haman sought to destroy all the Jews that were throughout the whole kingdom of Ahasuerus, even the people of Mordecai.
So let me kill them all is greater vengeance, because I know the history of my people. So let me find justice for my people. Read on.
In the first month, that is the month of Nisan, in the 12th year of King Ahasuerus.
Stop. Before we go there, this is why vengeance is so dangerous. Listen, if you look at it from the outside, Can you understand his need for vengeance? Can you understand it? Take away the Edomite, the Jew thing. Get all that out the way. All the your people got wiped out by these people. The carnal man would want to do that as retribution. Well, you don't realize that when you sit back here and try to become judge, jury, and executioner, that heat comes back to you. Because he didn't want to sit back and think about all that negative happened to my people because they were negative. And they were against the Heavenly Father. That's the spiritual way to look at things. Even us. We want vengeance on things, but not realizing, hey, the Most High sat back here and let these things happen to us because of our wickedness. We can sit back here and say, oh, the Edomites were wicked, they deserve death. But what about us? It's easy to talk that death thing, but men, women, and children are getting wiped out. Families are being devastated. That was the Most High's will with Esau. But it's also the Most High's will that Esau did it to us. We want vengeance, don't we? Hey, when we sit back here and go into that vengeance mode, the Most High be coming to get us. Because now we're trying to usurp ourselves in the position of judge and jury and executioner. That's the Most High. Vengeance is whose? It's the Lord's. We need to get ourselves out the way and let the Most High get us back. Listen, Haman wants to do this. He was out of order. The Most High already stung us for our wickedness. It wasn't up to Haman to do more. Just something to think about. Because a lot of times we have vengeance in our heart about what we've gone through. The Most High is going to sit back here and avenge you. You don't got to get in the way of the avenging. Let the Most High do the avenging. So, verse 7 again.
Verse 7. In the first month, that is the month of Nisan.
Now, check this out. After Haman decides, you know what, I'm not going to just kill Mordecai. I'm going to wipe out the entire nation. Now Haman starts going into the meditation on how am I going to sit back here and do? How am I going to sit back here and kill him? And this is what verse 7 starts and talks about. Now it's the first month of the year, and Haman goes through this process of determining what's the best time and how do I go break this situation up. Okay, how do I destroy the Jews? Yep. It's going to be explained in this verse.
He goes more thorough in detail.
Yeah, go verse 7 now. Read it from the top again.
Verse 7. In the first month, that is the month of Nisan, in the 12th year of King Ahasuerus.
Now we're in the 12th year of King Xerxes. This is like 9 years in. It's like 9 years of this whole saga going on. Because it started in year 3. Yes. Now we're in year 12. So that's 9 years have passed in this entire Esther book. In 3 chapters. So the 12th year, first year, what happens?
They cast her, that is the lot, before Haman from day to day and from month to month.
So they says first month, 12th year, they started casting per. Per is a lot. Remember we talked about in class earlier what a lot is?
Yeah.
What a lot is whether you're drawing sticks, whether you're gathering stones, whether it's this bag of stones, right? And one rock has yes on it, one rock has no on it. The other rocks don't have nothing on it. So every day, it said from the first month, all the ways as day to day, from month to month, to the 12th month. That meant he went day to day for damn near 11 plus flipping months of casting lots. Every day he sat back here and put his hands in these rocks and said, what's the best day should I kill these Jews on? He pulls out a blank.
This is his personal time.
He's casting lots every day to figure out the best day to get the Jews killed.
This is mission.
And he's going a whole year, day to day, to figure out is March the best day? No. Is March 5th the best day? No. How about March 6th? No. How about March 31st? No. How about June 3rd? No. Every day he's going through the seasons, figuring out, casting lots. What's the best day to wipe out these Jews? So this guy, Haman, is obsessed with not only killing the Jews, but getting casting lots to determine what the gods feel is the best day to wipe out these Jews. This is how obsessed and methodical, not just him, but most Esau is in wiping out the nations and their enemies. Listen, there's a book I still have it in my car. It's called it's by Brzezinski. It is
World chessboard.
yes, the Grand Chessboard. The Grand Chessboard was written in the 90s, but it talks about how, in order for the United States to continue their global hegemony,
Yeah.
they're going to have to sit back here and focus their eyes on Eurasia. Eurasia is the last prize of global domination. And they was writing this in the mid-90s, to where you have Obama and Biden and all these air quote neocons have said, man, that book is the book that we use to forecast the direction that the United States is going. What am I trying to say? They understand that in order to so they can conquer the world, you got to take over this last area, which is Eurasia. And in the book, he talks about the Mongols did it, and all these countries did it. And in the book, they said one of the keys is to continue separating Russia from China. They've been trying to do that for years. They started doing it in the 70s to help break up communism. It worked initially. They sat back here in the 70s with Richard Nixon and what's that guy's name? What's that Edomite guy that was his like foreign
Foreign aid.
It's not foreign aid. It's foreign ambassador. Gosh darn it, Kissinger.
Henry Kissinger.
Henry Kissinger. He used Henry Kissinger to sit back and broker these deals in China. They gave China deals, economic deals, ways to sustain their country so they can break off allegiance with Russia. And that was they said they had to take out the Russo-Sino connection. By taking out that connection, you weaken the region and you expose Russia and you weaken Russia. And they used that eventually from the 70s to the 90s to help break Russia. And that was when Russia broke off the communism and they got weakened. Because as soon as Russia fell in 1990, what happened next? Then they took out Iraq. Then they took out the Middle East. And then in the early 2000s, during the Arab Spring, they talked about how their next objective would take out Libya, take out Syria, would take out all those Middle Eastern countries. Because the Russians were the only ones getting in the way of the occupation of the Middle East region. So when Russia got weak, then they took out Iraq. Then they kept trying to take out Iran, but they were going at Syria. They were going at Libya. They were at all those countries that they couldn't touch because they had Russian backing. So now we get to the mid-2000s, Russia got strong again, and they came back and protected Syria. So they started foiling a lot of the United States plots to control the entire Middle East. So now we're here. This is why Russia is such the goal. If you break Russia, it can continue to control the whole world. Which lets you know, this is why the scripture says prophetically that Russia is the end of the Edomite kingdom. Because they're the last country to fall. They're going to be the ones that, they're the foot. The bear is the foot of the Edomite nation. They're going to be the ones that run it after America falls. Anyway, what am I trying to say? All I'm trying to say is that, what was you going to say?
And, there was a question about, why is it the U.S. versus Russia? And going off the same premise of they had the book written in the 90s, right? And then you had mentioned the 70s, about how this has been going since the 70s, but the book was written in the 90s. You understand, there was an article written, it's called the Halford John Mackinder in 1904. He wrote something called the Geographical Pivot in History.
Let's keep it, yeah.
Okay.
What are we going with?
I'm getting right to your point. This is the point. It says, he who rules East Europe commands the heartland. He who rules the heartland commands the world island. Who rules the world island commands the world.
Yeah.
So
when they say Eastern, see, some people push Eastern Europe, some push Eurasia. Eurasia is Russia, and you take it down to China.
Con.
Now, so that's really always been the end game because they took Eastern Europe when they took Yugoslavia.
Exactly.
Taking those Slavic nations was how they took out Eastern Europe. That Eastern
to
bloc,
command all the
like
world.
east of like Germany. They sat back here and took the Slavic countries. Then after that, they sat back here and they started going. Well, they took out Iraq. And they start taking the Slavic countries. They're going all around these different portions, and they're circling Russia. What am I trying to say? I now remember it. It was about how methodical Esau is in getting to their proposed mission. They'll go generations of planning, decades worth of planning to get to this place that we're all trying to take out Russia. This has been getting put together since the damn 70s. Since we came into power, really since we came into power in the 40s. Because what they don't tell you is that after World War II ended, the first thing that what was that general that was getting all that hype in World War II? I think it was not MacArthur, but it was there was a movie about him. They ended up killing him in Germany.
No.
It was Patton.
Yeah.
General Patton. I got to get those generals right. But Patton said, listen, while we're out here in Normandy in Germany, we got to keep going east and take out Russia now. Because they're too big, they're too strong. We got to break them now while we got them on the ropes. They've been talking about taking out Russia since the 40s. This is why after Germany got wiped out, what was the next phase of the geopolitical realm? It was called the Cold what? The Cold War started right after 45. The first war that happened after that was the Korean War. North Korea versus South Korea. Communist versus democracy.
It was a slow game. It's a slow
but they just had to go slow versus going into Russia. But it's always been about taking out Russia since the mid-40s. Now we're here in 2024, and it's still about taking out Russia. It just shows you how methodical Esau is, or even conquering their own people, let alone conquering the Jews. So, in verse 7, you have Haman is going through all this work and all this planning. Casting lots shows planning, carefulness. I'm not trying to rush things. I'm not going to rush the course. I'm going to advise. I'm being advised by what balances me out spiritually.
And you broke down about Alexander the Greek, about how he always used oracles.
Yes.
Before war. If y'all watch 300, when they were going to battle, they would go to what? Oracles. So they use the spiritual realm and they use witchcraft, also intertwined with their military tactics.
So this casting lots was a form of spirituality to them. It was like us going to the Urim and the Thummim to decide what was the best way to go to war.
On the right hand side.
But the nations don't have the right hand side. So they go and cast lots to determine what was the way of the Lord, of the gods. So once again, the Purim concept is about the lots the Lord has for Haman and Esau and the nations versus the lots for the Jews. It was the fortune of these two tribes were hanging in the balance. The fortune of these two people were hanging in the balance of this decision. Per is lots. It's the lots.
That makes sense.
It's the lots and fortunes of the Jews were hanging by the will of the Heavenly Father.
We always say Purim. What do you mean Purim?
And it says lots. But what does casting lots even mean?
I don't know. Are we casting lots to celebrate? I don't know what this means. Now I get why.
Because the casting lots is about the fortune of the Jews, or the fortune of Haman and these nations that back the extermination of the Jews.
The Most High swayed it towards us through His power.
Through His power. So you can sit back and go through all the oracles and different ways in the world to get the answer.
Man.
It's really about the Most High's will anyway. Matter of fact, I want to pull a verse. Read Proverbs 16 and 33. It's going to make sense when I go there.
Can I make this one statement?
Yeah.
And because I know we've had debates with brothers back in the day about some brothers believe that, this is young brothers think that, Satan has power. He has more power than the Most High, because why is this back? It's that Christian.
Brother said that? Damn, that's horrible.
I'm just saying, brothers will have faith that Esau is winning because they can tap into their powers and their little deities and their demons. so they have an advantage over Israel.
Mhm.
When it's not necessarily true.
It ain't true at all.
It's not true according to Scripture.
Listen, let's read this verse. This is Proverbs 16 and 33.
Proverbs chapter 16, verse 33. The lot is cast into the lap.
The lot
Man,
is cast into the lap.
or the
Read on.
purr,
Huh?
or the purr.
Yes, the purr is cast into the lap of mankind. Read on.
But the whole disposing thereof is of the Lord.
How it goes down is of the Heavenly Father. So people can cast whatever lot they want. They can cast whatever pure or plan however they want to do things. But the disposing of it, meaning how it's going to work out, comes from the Lord.
Wow. Okay.
This is what the whole lot concept is about. So Haman is setting up these lots to
Makes
go a
sense.
certain way, but it still is of the Lord.
Yeah.
How it goes down.
You're right.
So Haman is going from day to day. It says day to day, month to month. He goes 12 months to inquire what's the best day to wipe these Jews out. And he hits on the 13th of the month, of the 12th month. He says, that's going to be the day, damn it. The God said, yes, finally. I've been waiting for 12 months for this scenario.
Yeah.
Now on the 13th day of the 12th month, the Spirit said, yes, this is the day you take the Jews out. This is crazy. But the amount of planning that went into this, the amount of discipline.
He was a sharp dude then. He's probably sharp in the
He
kingdom.
was sharp. That's how he got to be the number 2 in the kingdom.
Wow.
He was the number 2 behind Xerxes. He wasn't no idiot.
Of cunningness.
Intelligence.
Wow.
So it wasn't about just making happenstance, irrational moves. Let me plan this out every day. Is this the day? He's rolling dice. Every day he's rolling spiritual dice until he gets 7s.
Yeah.
Until he rolls 7s. Huh?
He's
And
always
he waited 12 months and 13 days
He's like a villain,
to
huh?
roll 7s.
He's like a real sharp villain.
Yes. He's like one of those Bond villains. Today is the day. 13th is the day. Yeah. Or that guy from Inspector Gadget. That guy is sitting behind the screen with his wicked cat out. He's just pushing computer buttons out. I don't know if you remember that. That Go Gadget, he was evil. That dude was cold. He had this hairy, wicked, gray cat out.
Yeah.
And all he had is the silver arm you saw.
Never saw his
If it weren't for Penny Eye, that dude would have been dead a bunch of times.
Yeah.
Let me stop.
Penny saved his life.
Every episode, Penny saved him. Let me stop. That's
Claw, right?
Yeah, the agency was Claw. The Claw. Anyway, let me stop. So this is a situation. This guy was methodical in his entire process.
Yeah.
So he goes and casts lots. You get that confirmation for 12 months and 13 days. Now let's get to verse 8.
Fine.
You see why it's good to take time to kind of explain this? Because if you rush to it, you ain't going to get the little details, the nuances that you need to get clarity. Read on.
Verse 8. And Haman said unto King Ahasuerus, there is a certain people scattered abroad and dispersed among the people.
So stop. I don't mean to cut you off. So it took him 12 months and 13 days to get the confirmation to even approach King Xerxes about the problem. Because it ain't like they killed him that day. They set it up so that it took another year for it to be executed.
Intricate plot.
So now it's okay. It took me a year to get confirmation. Now I'm going to move on this, and I'm going to convince Xerxes to give me the go ahead to do it. Then it takes a year after the decree kicks in for the entire process to be executed. Because it's got the letters and everything got to get sent out to 127 provinces. So it takes time to even complete this process. But it just shows the level of thoroughness, sophistication, and detail it took for him to even be risen up to this position. Okay, read verse 8 from the top. Slakia.
God. And Haman said unto King Ahasuerus, there is a certain people scattered abroad and dispersed among the people in all the provinces of thy kingdom, and their laws are diverse from all people. Neither keep they the king's law.
This is the constant reoccurring complaint that all the nations have about the Jews. You don't sit back and follow orders like the rest of the nations do. The rest of the nations don't mind serving a man and calling him a god. We got a problem with that. It's the same thing at the damn. Just think about damn office space out. It's an office space. You can't sit back here and we don't do things like everybody else at the job does.
Yeah.
We don't have the same desires that everybody at the job does. Like Jim and Bob, you ever sit back here and they're saying these weird things that are out the spirit, and you're like, man, should I sit back and cut this dude, or should I just shut my mouth up?
He's not a team player.
That's what happened. If you start cutting people and talking about the spirit, man, all of a sudden there's a glass ceiling there, man. Listen, there's already a glass ceiling.
That's already there.
The glass ceiling is this high for Jake.
Yeah.
You start teaching about the Bible, the glass ceiling is like this.
It's lower.
You're like, what's going on? I thought, there's no, the ceiling is lower and lower.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
Fall down. You gotta
get like this. That's
go.
the truth. This is what happens when you start standing up for what's right, because your views aren't kosher with the world's views.
Not politically correct.
All of a sudden, when you start talking the Bible, you're not woke. You're not considerate.
Why are you making people feel so bad over here?
That's the point. Get this guy out of here. This guy doesn't follow with our laws. This has been the situation from the beginning.
Yeah.
This is what always gets us in trouble. This is why Mordecai told Esther, don't talk about what you are. But this is what made a guy like Daniel so potent. Remember, Daniel didn't even eat of the king's meals. He didn't eat of the king's table because those foods were eaten after acknowledging of the idols of the temple. What do you think was happening?
Yeah.
What do you think was happening with the Persian Empire? Esther and Mordecai were eating at the king's table, knowing damn well it was of idols that were eating the table. These are the compromises you have to take when you're not trying to rock the boat. But even with the Most High considering that they're in foreign countries, and he winks at it, because he did wink at it. He winked at what Mordecai and Esther did in comparison to what Daniel didn't do. Daniel was just on a higher level, and whose conscience for the Father was greater than Esther's and Mordecai's. But even with that, and the Most High winking at it, the Most High still made Esther and Mordecai take a stance. You're going to have to stand up for what you believe in regardless. You can't run and hide forever. You can't tiptoe around standing up for what you believe forever. You're going to get backed in the corner, and then what are you going to do when you're backed against the corner? That's it. Mordecai could have sat back here and just kept bowing and treating him like a king or like a god. And then all of a sudden, what kind of man is he in front of the eyes of the Heavenly Father?
Lost integrity.
So there's a fine line between not rocking the boat, but losing your spiritual integrity. There's a fine line that every single one of us have to balance out. That's another aspect of this class. There's so many more dimensions to this that you won't get unless you slow things down. So Haman is all of a sudden gassing up Xerxes. Because this is another example of Xerxes, like he just listen to you and just follow you, bro. If you paint a compelling argument, he's gonna agree with you. Because this guy Haman is like, take out this entire nation. Okay. And he said, you know what? If you're worried about being taxed, I'll pay you out of my own pocket to cover what you lose in taxes on these people. Because that's what Haman is about to say. He said, I know you're thinking these guys are citizens and they're going to be paying their taxes. I'll flip the bill. Just get these guys out of here. It'll come out of my wages. Check this out. Read on. Verse 9. No, read on, yeah.
Therefore, it is not for the king's profit to suffer them. Verse 9. If it please the king, let it be written that they may be destroyed. And I will pay 10,000 talents of silver to the hands of those that have the charge of the business to bring it into the king's treasury.
So he says, I'll come out of my pocket to pay for the hatchet men, to pay for the assassins, to pay for the goons in all the provinces to kill all the Jews. It'll come out of my pocket. Read on.
And the king took his ring from his hand and gave it unto Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, the Jews' enemy.
So what he's saying is, I'll sit back here and finance it. I'll cover the taxes. I'll cover the bills that come from the loss of the taxes. Mm-hmm. I'll fork it out of my pocket. So you don't got to even worry about it out of the king's treasury. So what does he say? He says, cool, do it. Read on.
Verse 11. And the king said unto Haman, the silver is given to thee, the people also, to do with them as it seemeth good to thee.
But Xerxes said, man, I got the money. Don't worry about it. Save your money. it'll come out of the camp funds, man. It'll come out of the king's funds to do it. Don't even worry about it. You save your money. Okay, read on.
He just want to get this done.
But I'm gonna say this: Xerxes wasn't thorough. Xerxes didn't even know that he was sentencing his woman to death. Think about that. This guy's a light dude. He's like, I like you, I trust you, do it. No problem. Well, he's not thinking about what he's risking to lose. Because once you set a decree, you got to stick with it. So now you got to kill his wife if this thing goes through. And he's not even aware of it.
Another one.
Being an idiot, not being thorough about his decrees and listening and being thorough about the circumstances. You're going to see constantly that Xerxes he might have been strong in his foreign policy, but his domestic policy was whack. He wasn't on top of his business at home. Let's continue.
Then were the king's scribes called on the 13th day of the first month, and there was written according to all that Haman had commanded unto the king's lieutenants and to the governors that were over every province, and to the rulers of every people of every province according to the writings thereof, and to every people after their language. In the name of King Ahasuerus was it written, and sealed with the king's ring.
Stop. We're going to sit back here and read Josephus because we kind of went a little further out, but that's okay. Let's go to Josephus, book 11, chapter 6, paragraph, I think we're 5 now. Yeah. Let's do paragraph 5.
Paragraph 5. Now there was one Haman, the son of Ammedatha, by birth an Amalekite, that used to go into the king, and the foreigners and Persians worshipped him.
Now it starts to make sense. It wasn't just honor him like we read in Esther. It was beyond just honoring. It was worshiping. He was being treated like a deity. And this is why Mordecai didn't acknowledge the man. Because he went above and beyond just serving this guy. Now they treat him like he's a god. So Mordecai wasn't going to treat him like a god. So when it says Mordecai bowed not, meaning he didn't treat him like a god. Okay? That was the straw that Mordecai was not willing to cross over by trying to fit in with the Persian culture. Read on.
As Artaxerxes had commanded that such honor should be paid to him.
Mm-hmm.
But Mordecai was so wise and so observant of his own country's laws that he would not worship the man.
Mm-hmm.
When Haman observed this, he inquired whence he came.
Where's this guy coming from? I need to know what this guy's anger is at. He's a threat, obviously. So where is he coming from? Read on.
And when he understood that he was a Jew, he had indignation at him, and said within himself that whereas the Persians, who were free men, worshipped him, this man, who was no better than a slave, does not vouchsafe to do so.
So first of all, what does that mean the Jews' status in society was? We were slaves. We were slaves. And remember, we read in Jeremiah 22. Remember Jeremiah said, rejoice, man. You're going to sit back and be in a foreign country. You're going to be in a foreign country and you're going to serve them. So serve them and be a slave. And accept your slavery. Remember those princes didn't like that letter?
Yeah.
But the letter was sent. Because he's like, listen, you guys are slaves. Haman understood you're a damn slave. You're not bowing to me. The Jews were mud in all the countries of the earth. And can you accept that you was a slave? And we were bad servants if you didn't accept your status in society. This is reality. We were slaves.
Because of basically,
we broke the laws of the Heavenly Father.
So this is Deuteronomy 28 in that time period.
Deuteronomy 28 went from Deuteronomy and went from damn Babylon to present day, with a little bit of 1,000-year reprieve during the Dark Ages. We're servants. And when we knew we were servants and we did what we were told, then we got honored for greater positions. It's a way that you have to understand how the Most High looked at us. We were supposed to feel we were on the bottom of the totem pole. We were supposed to feel it. Because when we weren't on the bottom of the totem pole, we couldn't tell Israel nothing. And is that not true?
Yeah.
When Israel got something, can you advise them? Can you talk to them? Can you counsel them? All you got to have, if Israel got like 30,000 in their bank account, are they listening to you? You give Israel 30K, you can't tell them nothing. Bills paid, mortgage up to date, and 30K in the bank, car note paid for. You can't tell them nothing. Can you?
No. You can tell them
So
nothing.
the Most High understood that. So he kept us as slaves.
At the income tax, you can't tell us nothing.
Then listen, from January 15th to like March 1st, you can't tell them nothing. then they get back down to reality after like March 15th when all the money gone.
What did you say last couple months ago?
I'm gonna listen. What you got? I'll listen to counsel. It's the truth, right? So the Most High keeps us this way, because you can't tell them nothing.
That's true.
A war is not making this up. It's the Bible is telling us this. So I'm like, these guys are slaves in Persia. That means the Jews was in the ghetto of Persia. We was in the ghetto of Babylon. We was in the ghetto of Persia. And we had to understand that.
Yeah.
All right? So, okay. So let's continue with Hamas. And this dude's a Jew. He's a slave. And the Persians are the top dogs, and they serving me. Read on.
And when he desired to punish Mordecai, he thought it too small a thing to request of the king that he alone might be punished. He rather determined to abolish the whole nation.
But why? What will be the motivation behind that? That's because he remembers his own history. And how Saul, when the Jews were on top, they tried to abolish his nation. This is the motivation behind the hatred. Read on.
For he was naturally an enemy to the Jews, because the nation of the Amalekites, which he was, has been destroyed by them.
It gives you the answer right there. The Jews historically wiped out the Agagites or the Amalekites. So now I'm in power. I'm going to do what I can to wipe them out. It makes perfect sense. Read on.
Accordingly, he came to the king and accused them, saying, there is a certain wicked nation, and it is dispersed over all the habitable earth that was under his dominion, a nation separate from others, unsociable, neither admitting the same sort of divine worship that others do.
That sounds like Israel at the job. You got Catholics, you got these Christians, you got Muslims. What do you say? You don't say nothing. Like, I hear you, man.
Whatever.
What's your denomination? Oh, non-denomination. You're vague as hell. Non-denomination? No. Christian. Yeah, I'm Christian too. You're like, why are you so vague, guy? You're not sociable. You're not talking the water cooler talk like we're talking about. We're not talking about the big game. How come you don't watch sports no more? No. You lost interest, man.
Who cares?
Man, you watch the Grammys? No, why are you watching the Grammys, man? You see old girl on the show? No, man. You look like this weirdo out. Yeah. Like, what are you doing with your time? Let's go skiing, bro. It's what day is it? On Saturday.
Happy New Year!
I can't make you can never go out with us, man. What's going on? How you going to say it's a Sabbath? I can't go out on the Sabbath. That don't fly right. Like, what are you talking about? You can't go out on Friday night? What are you talking about? This is a couple beers, bro. This is a couple beers. At Buffalo Wild Wings. Just go do it, man. No, I can't. I got something to do. Every Friday you got something to do? I don't know if you're messing by that console, man. You're bullshit. You BSing, man. Every Friday you can't roll out? I'm keeping count, bro. You know, other people will sit back and just let it go and not say anything, but there's one person that calls you out. You're unsociable.
What's your problem, man?
You don't roll out, man. You ain't having fun with us. You used to sit back and smoke with us. How come you don't smoke with us no more? Yeah. Oh, I don't do that no more, man. Why, man? How come? You got to give them like, oh, man, I don't want to get tested dirty.
My lungs.
Yeah, it's about dinner. You don't want to get tested dirty. You know this job don't test you dirty, G. What are you talking about?
I got you covered on the test, man. Don't worry about it.
I got this drink. It works.
It's good. And we'll tell you before it happens.
But then you keep backing off with what they want. Then you got to really tell them what you are. You tell them what you are, then all of a sudden the relationship changes forever. It's the truth. So he says these Jews are unsociable. How come they're living in Persia and they don't do the little bing 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 these Persian deities? They're not partying the way the Persians party. They don't serve the six-armed
I
goddess.
don't want to party.
Well, let's go do this. Let's go do this six-armed goddess party, man. It's hot.
Like,
No, I can't do it,
roll
bro.
with you. You gotta
These
tell 'em no.
Jews are fuddy duddies.
You gotta tell them no.
They're unsociable.
Yeah,
They don't even fit in with society.
yeah.
And this is what Haman is painting about the Jews, which is all true. Unsociable, neither admitting the same sort of divine worship that others do. Continue.
Nor using laws like to the laws of others, at enmity with thy people.
They're always at odds with how the other nations operate. So listen, if you sit back and say, man, yeah, it's illegal to eat pork, man, you don't eat pork, and they're smacking on pork, now the whole vibe is messed up, Now you're judging me.
I'm sorry.
You're judging me. I'm eating this damn chili cheeseburger,
Don't look at me.
with the pork on. I'm eating it. That's the point. The whole vibe is messed up. Your ways are different, and these people got to get out of here because of it. Let's continue.
And with all men, both in their manners and practices. Now, if thou wilt be a benefactor to thy subjects,
If you really want to look after the people who serve you, who really want to serve you, read on.
thou wilt give order to destroy them utterly.
Because killing them will make the lives of your subjects better. Read on.
And not leave the least remains of them, nor preserve any of them, either for slaves or for captives.
He says they're not even good enough to be slaves. We know they're slaves, but they're not even good slaves. They're not good slaves at it. So get rid of these non-happy slaves. They don't coon enough for you. They're not cooning enough for you. And what's Israel? What does Israel hate to do? Shuck and jive for massa. They don't like doing it. They don't want to sit back here and buy into the culture. Because Esau always talks about the job, buying into the culture. Am I right or wrong? If you don't buy into the culture, you're not a team player. And they're going to get you out eventually. Esau isn't about doing the job. They're about the culture.
Yeah.
When you go to business class, it's just all about the organizational culture. If I can't buy into your mind, if I can't get your mind, then you're going to rebel as a worker. That's the truth. And he says these slaves don't buy into the brand. They don't buy into the Persian way. They're just making their money to go home,
This is our
dog.
mission statement.
This is Jake, though. I make this money to go home, dog. I ain't into this job, man. I ain't doing this extra work. This is why Israel don't even want to be managers. If you're going to be managers, you got to be there all damn day long.
Right.
How many Jews want to be managers?
Nope.
Because first of all, you're not getting paid. You're getting paid this one lump sum money to work
Crazy.
20 more hours a week than everybody else. That's the point. You ain't getting paid for the extra work. So Jake want to make the most for the minimum and get home.
Yep.
And like this mentality is bad for the Persian Empire, Xerxes. Kill him. Get rid of him. And productivity will rise. That's what he's saying. Read on, though.
But that the king might not be damnified by the loss of the tributes which the Jews paid him, Haman promised to give him out of his own estate 40,000 talents whensoever he pleased. And
So he says, if by wiping out these Jews, they're going to cost you some money, I'll pay for it. Read on.
And he said he would pay this money very willingly, that the kingdom might be freed from such misfortune.
But then as you read in Esther chapter 3, Xerxes said, no, I'll cover it. Okay? Hold this and go back to verse 11 in Esther.
Con, Esther, chapter 3, verse 11. And the king said unto Haman, the silver is given to thee, the people also, to do with them as it seemeth good to thee.
Now we jump to verse 14. Matter of fact, no. We just read verse 12 earlier, right? We read verse 12 earlier, right? Let's read verse 13.
Verse 13. And the letters were sent by post into all the king's provinces, to destroy, to kill, and to cause all to perish, all Jews, both young and old, little children and women, in one day, even upon the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month Adar, and to take the spoil of them for prey.
So once again, Haman went and casted lots for an entire year to get the confirmation that the 13th day was the day to kill the Jews. He went 12 months, day to day, to get to that day.
Take care of that.
Once he got confirmation that the 13th day, 12th month was the day, then he went to the king, convinced the king. Then on the 13th day of the first month of the next year, the royal decree was established that in 12 more months on that 13th day, they was going to get wiped out. So it was 2 years of planning that went into killing these Jews. 2 years. Now we're going to read in the Apocrypha, chapter 13, verse 1 through 7, what the letter said.
Is it the rest of that story?
Yes, it's the rest of Esther. Yes, sir. So we're going to hold verse 13. We're going to hold on for 13 because verse 13 said the letters were sent to all 127 provinces. Now we're going to read this, what the letter said. Okay. You got it. Let you read it because we're just going to read. We're going to read these verses and probably shut it down after this because there's a lot of reading. We need to take a little baby break on this one. 13 verse 1 through 7.
All right.
Let's read that.
The copy of the letters was this.
This is what the letter said that was spread throughout these 13 provinces. Read on.
The great king Artaxerxes writeth these things to the princes and governors that are under him from India unto Ethiopia, in 127 provinces. After that, I became Lord over many nations, and had dominion over the whole world, not lifted up with presumption of my authority, but carrying myself away with equity and mildness. I purpose to settle my subjects continually in a quiet life, and making my kingdom peaceable and open for passage to the utmost coast, to renew peace, which is desired of all men. Now when I asked my counselors how this might be brought to pass, Aman, that excelled in wisdom among us, and was approved for his constant good will and steadfast fidelity, and had the honor of the second place in the kingdom. Verse 4. Declared unto us that in all nations throughout the world there was scattered a certain malicious people.
Oh man. Who
Yep.
is this people?
But this is the scribes writing this. This wasn't Xerxes writing this. The scribes wrote this.
Okay.
Read on.
That had laws contrary to all nations, and continually despised the commandments of kings, so as the uniting of our kingdoms honorably intended by us cannot go forth.
Listen, this is the truth. It's not like anything that was written was incorrect. Our laws, our ways go against all the ways of the kingdoms.
Mhm.
We have always been that thorn in the nation's side. You keep reading this same passage. Every single kingdom, every single king is being reminded of the Jews not locking in because the essence of serving the Most High's laws contradicts the laws of the entire world. It's just a reality. Now, the kings on earth that were blessed and acknowledged, those were the ones who had a respect for these laws that the rest of the world seemed inconvenient. Because the Most High still worked with certain kings of the other nations, whether it's Cyrus, whether it's Darius, whether it was, Octavius, which was Augustus, Caesar Augustus. There's different kings, Alexander, who acknowledged the laws of the Jews while accepting the other nations' gods also. As long as the nations acknowledged the laws of the Father, they were taken care of. These guys, the negative kings, looked at the laws of the Heavenly Father as a burden and as an annoyance to the rest of the world. Well, let's continue.
Verse 5. Seeing then we understand that this people alone is continually in opposition unto all men, differing in the strange manner of their laws, and evil affected to our state, working all the mischief they can, that our kingdom may not be firmly established.
What they're saying is that the Jews' way is a cult. That's what they're saying. This is a cult. This is different than art. The rest of the world, this is a cult. You guys do some oddball stuff. This only makes sense. This ain't how the Christian
They're
way
too
is.
different.
This ain't how the Catholic way is. This is a cult. This is another way of saying that.
And remember, the nations were always, they always had the same gods, just different
Different names. But they said this is a cult. This is an oddball religion. This is what they're, historically we've been called an oddball cult. Read on.
Verse 6. Therefore have we commanded that all they that are signified in writing unto you by Aman, who was ordained over the affairs and is next unto us, shall all, with their wives and children, be utterly destroyed by the sword of their enemies, without all mercy and pity. The 14th day of the 12th month, Adar of this present year. Verse 7. That they who of old and now also are malicious may in one day with violence go into the grave, and so ever hereafter cause our affairs to be well settled and without trouble.
So it says on this day, once they're all dead, that everything will be at peace, and as a nation we can move forward. So this is what was established, that was sent to all the nations after 2 years of careful, methodical planning. Let's go back to Esther 3, verse 14 and 15.
Esther 3 and 14.
Yeah, that's fine. Cool.
Esther 3 and 14. The copy of the writing for a commandment to be given in every province was published unto all people, that they should be ready against that day. The post went out, being hastened by the king's commandment, and the decree was given in Shushan, the palace. And the king and Haman sat down to drink, but the city, Shushan, was perplexed.
Listen, they said they wouldn't have had a little drink with the boys. But once again, the city was perplexed because the decree was getting around. Everybody was getting the word that the Jews are going to die in a year. Just imagine you walk around every day and for a year, you know you're about to die. That's what's crazy. You got a year to think on this, to stress out on this.
That's not over a year.
Listen, get your affairs in order. You gonna get Israel gonna get wicked for that year, or do right? You know most niggas go crazy in that year. I'm going crazy. YOLO. You only live for 12 months. I'm going for it, bro.
It's only 12 months left.
That's some real stuff. You had a year, bro, and you and all your family's gonna die. And with that, we're gonna stop, and we'll go on to what happens next. That's a good stopping place. Like dun, dun, dun. You got a year to wait on this, and like they remember those old Batman shows. Are the Jews gonna come back to life in a year? Are they gonna be protected and saved?
Yeah.
What's gonna happen to the Jews?
Yeah.
Tune in next week.
As the Jews turn.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
Yeah.
I don't remember those corny Batman shows. What's going to happen? But we'll go into the details, and we'll finish out the story of the lots.
Yeah.
The lots, or the
Purim.
fate. The lots, the fate of the lots of the Jews and Haman and the people that were on their side. We're going to see how it goes. So, with that, we're going to sit back and send our prayers up. Amajim. Ponya, Yerah Shalom. Hope we learned something today.
It's good stuff, man.
Okay.
Praise to have your own kingdom, man.
You have your own laws, bro. Yahweh,
Yahweh.
your name Yahweh Shai.
Let me how a shot.
Please listen to us right now.
Please listen to us right now.
Send Micah Allah
Send Micah Allah.
and the righteous angels
And the righteous angels.
to watch over,
Watch over.
bless,
Bless.
heal,
Heal.
protect,
Protect.
and make strong
Make strong.
the people of Yasharallah.
People got shout.
Also send unto us
Also send unto us
much wisdom,
much wisdom,
much knowledge,
much knowledge,
much understanding,
much understanding,
much patience,
much patience,
much faith,
much faith,
much brotherhood,
much brotherhood,
and much love,
much love,
spiritual power,
spiritual power,
and forgive all of our sins.
forgive all of our sins.
Yahweh Shai, come quickly,
How shall come quickly?
for in thee
For indeed
is our hope,
is our hope.
always,
Always.
and forever.
Forever.
Amen.
Amen.
Barakatah Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai.
Barakatah Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai.
Hawa. Nothing now. Hathawa.
Bless you, Yahweh, name Yahushai. All right.
That gives us the law.
That gives us the law.
Yes.
Just like it.
Barakatah Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai.
Barakatah Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai.
Hawa. Nothing now. A war. La
La. Bless you, Yahweh, name Yahushai. That gives us the light to see.
Number 3. Barakatah Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai.
Barakatah Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai.
Hawa. Nothing now. Ha'ayom. Kwara. La Kwara. Ha'ayin.
Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahushai, that gives us the ram's horn to call the people.
Okay. On number 4. Barakatah Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai.
Barakatah Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai.
Hawa. Nothing now. Shaman. Zayat. La Mashach. Yashua.
Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahushai, that gives us the olive oil to anoint Israel.
Psalms 92. It is a good thing to give thanks unto the Lord.
It's a good thing to give thanks to the Lord.
And to sing praise unto thy name.
And sing praise to thy name.
O Yahweh. To show forth thy loving kindness in the morning.
Show forth the loving kindness in the morning.
And thy faithfulness every night.
And thy faithfulness every night.
Upon an instrument of 10 strings.
Upon an instrument of 10 strings.
And upon the psaltery.
And upon the psaltery.
Upon the harp.
Upon the harp.
With the solemn sound. For thou, Yahweh, hast made me glad through thy work.
Made me glad through thy work.
I will triumph. In the works of thy hands. O Yahweh. How great are thy works. And thy thoughts are very deep. A brutish man knoweth not. Neither doth the fool understand this. When the wicked spring is the grass. And when all the workers of iniquity do flourish. It is that they shall be destroyed forever. But thou, Yahweh, art most high forevermore. For lo, thy enemies, O Yahweh, for lo, thy enemies shall perish. All the workers of iniquity shall be scattered. But my horn shalt thou exalt. Like the horn of a unicorn. I shall be anointed with fresh oil. Mine eye also shall see. My desire on my enemies. And my ear shall hear. My desire of the wicked that rise up against me. The righteous shall flourish like the palm tree. He shall grow like a cedar in Lebanon. Those that be planted in the house of the Lord shall flourish in the courts of our power. They shall still bring forth fruit in old age. They shall be fat and flourishing. To show that the Lord is upright. He is my rock. And there is no unrighteousness in him. By Shem Yahushai. Psalms 133. Shayar. Hama'awa. La Dawad. Hana. Ma. Tawab. Wama. Na'ayam. Shabbat. Akim. Gum. Yachad. Kashaman. Hatuab. Ayo. Haraash. Yarad. Ayo. Hazakwan. Zakwan. Aharan. Shayarad. Ayo. Haya. Madawaskawa. Katal, Karamwan, Shayarad, Ayo, Hararia, Tazayawad, Kaya, Sham, Tazawah, Yahweh, Habaraka, Kayayam, Hadwalam, Ba'ashem Yahushai.
Behold how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. It is like the precious ointment upon the head that ran down upon the beard, even Aaron's beard that went down to the skirts of his garments. As the dew of Hermon, and as the dew that descended upon the mountains of Zion. For there the Lord commanded the blessing, even life evermore. Amen.
Amen. Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai.
Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai.
Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. Barakanoah. Washralia. Wabiyath. Support. Turn. Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. Barakanoah. Washralia. Wabiyath. Support. Turn. Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. Barakanoah. Washralia. Wabiyath. Support. Turn. Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. Barakanoah. Washralia. Wabiyath. Support. Barak Atah Yahweh.
Barak Atah Yahweh.
Barak Atah Yahweh Shai.
Barak Atah Yahweh Shai.
Barak Atah Yahweh.
Barak Atah Yahweh.
Barak Atah Yahweh Shai.
Yahweh Shai.
All knowledge, all wisdom, all understanding, all mercy, all patience, all power is from Yahweh. All power is from Yahweh. All power is from Yahweh. Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, the water, the Miyad, Aman. Circle up.
Circle up. Saluting out in the heavenly order. Yahweh, Yahweh Shai, Okay Sa'ala, Men of Israel, Mush, Barak.
Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Barakatoh.
Kwame Shalom.
Kwame Shalom.
Kwame Shalom.
Kwame Shalom.
Kwame Shalom.
Kwame Shalom.
Top. Turn and face the sisters. Sisters, please stand. Saluting out the daughters of Zion, Men of Israel, Amajim, Barak.
Yahweh Shema Alathon Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. Yes, what's up? Dismissed. Hold up. Israel, the water from tuning in. And see y'all on Monday. Love y'all. Talk to y'all soon.
Shalom.
Shalom.